Greetings, everybody. My name is Coin, and I am incredibly sorry for today's lateness. Welcome on in to another episode of The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Since I'm late today, I will check on any messages first, and then we will get started. Greetings to Mr. Gorda Goku. Good to see you, good sir. Hopefully you're doing well in both body and mind, and I hope you enjoy your stay. Mr. Gorda Goku says, hope you're well. I'm better now. I'll explain in a second. Nothing new to report. Still searching on Tears of the Kingdom. Yes, sir, I saw. We'll be going over all of the, trials and tribulations of the map completion counter, like today at the start of this stream, because it might take a few streams for us to do. Before we get started, I'd like to take just an opportunity, just a moment, to thank our wonderful contributors during this month's cycle and play the camera minigame. I look like I'm all right. Greetings to you as well, Mr. Jason. Good to see you. Hopefully you're doing well in body and mind, and I do hope you enjoy your stay. You've come in just in time for the contributor placard reading. And speaking of placard reading, if you guys want your names on these placards, which I do read at the start of each and every single stream, as a way to say thank you for chucking coins at me. Well, if you want your names here, that's exactly what you got to do. The purchase or maintenance of any continuous subscription package or a one-time donation, any one-time donation of $2 or more on Coffee or other select platforms will get your names on these placards, which I will go ahead and read right now. Thank you to Just Me Carly 917 and Most Likely Shine, or Mr. Shiny as we know him on stream. Thank you for the purchase and maintenance of your Prime subscriptions and or Tier 1 subscriptions. Please do enjoy the benefits and privileges that come along with those. Thank you to Mr. Gordy Goku for their continued maintenance of their Valkyrie tier membership. Please do enjoy all the benefits and privileges that come along with that. Thank you to Mr. Rasby the player for their continued maintenance of the Valkyrie tier membership over on Coffee. And finally, thank you to Mr. User 11 for their $5 donation during this month's cycle. While that does not come with any bells or tassels or whistles, this is one of the most direct ways to support me specifically, and for that, I deeply thank you, good sir. And I've not much more to say than that, so why don't we get to today's proceedings, as well as what's been happening off camera. So I'll start with the off-camera stuff first. I am absolutely continuing to work on parts for this blasted game. And I've been mostly trying to work on Lizalfo's tails, and very specifically the electric Lizalfo's tail. These things have a 25% drop chance across a handful of Lizalfos on the map. Now, there are more in the depths, but I'm trying not to use the ones in the depths, because I'm trying to work on the ones in the surface, or I'm trying to work on other stuff on the surface at the exact same time. I've also farmed din roll parts. I've got all of the necessary din roll parts. I just need to get Nadras, and then all of the divine dragons will, of course, be complete. And we won't have to worry about them anymore. But yeah, I've been working really hard on these. The Lizalfo's tails, I get the feeling, are going to be a true nightmare to get. And it may cause me to have to play the palette cleanser before we're ready to move on. Mr. Gorda Goku says red Lizalfos are the worst to find because the drop rate won't drop the tails, at least from your end. That's fair, Mr. Gorda Goku. Yeah, 25% chance to drop per kill, and you get 1 per kill. And if you're limited, even if you don't limit yourself to sections, specific sections of map, right? Even if you swept everything, you're still netting on average maybe sometimes only 5 tails per round. And if I'm looking at my checklist, right, we're looking at the Fire Breath Lizalfo's tail, so I know what I'm looking for here. 48 tails are supposedly required to complete this, and I have 4 of them. Oh yeah, I can definitely feel we're gonna need to play the palate cleanser game while we get ready for other stuff territory. Mr. Jason says, oh, Mr. Coin, you sent a message via DM, but you can disregard it because you were just inquiring about the stream as you didn't see me at the usual time. Yeah, let's just say my native biology, or AKA Mother Nature, held me up, and so I could not air at the usual time. That is about as much detail as I can give while not being explicit on what happened. I hate when it happens, because I myself am feeling fine, but my gut, not so much. But we're going to power through it. I'm going to power through it anyway. Yeah, so I've been working on this. That's pretty much all I've been doing off camera. I've been burning and replacing weapons like it is no one's business. And breaking ones that we haven't broken before. In particular, I managed to get a pristine Gerudo scimitar and put a nice extra silver Lionel saber horn on it. So this is my Lionel beater now. Mr. Gordugoku says, glad you're okay to be here at least. Thank you, good sir. Just stay safe. I intend on it. Yes, for those of you that are inside of Winter Storm Gianna, which would be the southeast or eastern coast of the U.S., please do remain safe. Especially North Carolina. If you're in North Carolina, or in the state of North Carolina, don't confirm that, by the way. It's just putting that out there. If you're in that state, my thoughts and prayers go with you, because I hear that North Carolina, unfortunately, is expected to get the worst of it, which, if we'll all recall Hurricane Helene for a moment, North Carolina not only had the storm itself, as well as precursor tornadoes that spawned, North Carolina also had mudslides from the ensuing, Hurricane Helene, like the aftermath had a lot of mudslides in it. So, there were whole towns that just disappeared, and they're not there anymore because of the damage the mudslide caused. So my thoughts and prayers go out to North Carolinians very especially today and for this weekend. Now for the recap. Last time on The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, we wrapped up the remaining side quests. We got all of the Yiga blueprints, and we had a fun little mini game over at the Lurlin Water Rally. Today is going to be more dry and less fun than that today, unfortunately. Mr. Gordugoku says it's supposed to get hard, but where you am in particular hasn't been too bad. Knock on wood. Too true, good sir. Yes, I'm also scheduled not to get it too rough. Again, the poor sods in North Carolina are expected to get the worst of it. But, knock on wood. Weather instrumentation is fairly accurate and precise, and we do have a lot of weather models to choose from. That doesn't mean the weather can't change. The weather forecasts are just that. They're forecasts. They aren't set in stone predictions. I just want people to remember that. The weather can be wrong, but it isn't wrong because people are incompetent. It's wrong because the weather changes. And that's all there is to it. Mr. Jason says it's perfectly fine, Mr. Coin. I enjoy you no matter what. Thank you. I appreciate that, good sir. Now, today we're going to be scanning over every region, every landmark. I do have a worksheet which I will I will pass around that worksheet, but it's not linked yet. When I do post this link, Mr. Jason, would you be so kind as to pin the aforementioned link to Twitch chat, and I will find a way to do that on YouTube. I'm just gonna copy this. There you go. There's that. And I'll just go ahead and minimize the pin. Thank you very much. That is until I can get a command up and running for it, and then we won't need that pin anymore, so... Okay, so those pins are there for everyone. I have a personal version of this sheet that I'll be using, but this is a checklist. I did find the base checklist. I did find this on a subreddit. So please make sure you thank the contributor G Thrust, J-E Thrust. So do make sure to thank them for this. All I did was I, doctored it up and added a few check marks and things. Mr. Gordu Goku says, cool, you need that? You're very welcome. I was quite profoundly mortified when I discovered some things about our map checklist. Mr. Jason says, oh, Mr. Coin, you had to laugh, good sir. When Bumblebubs went live earlier, your first message was, greetings, Queen Bumblebubs, your majesty. Captain of the Guard and Royal Hive Architect Jason for reporting for duty. Buzz. What viewer said, Jason's feeling formal today. To a fault sometimes, that's you in general. I'm the same way, good sir. I am exactly the same way. I am formal... often to a fault, excuse me. Yeah, so that'll be pinned. Those will be pinned for the remainder of the stream today, so do feel free to use those. They are probably not fully finished being formatted, if I am being honest, but I can doctor those over the weekend. Speaking of, I do hope everyone has a good weekend, and I hope you guys... For those of you not affected by, Ice Storm Gianna, I do hope that you have good weekend plans lined up. I have a weekend plan lined up, but Gianna may, ice that one out.
Sure, Jan.
Mr. Jason says, and as you discovered recently, you were too formal in one channel. Yeah, you were telling us about that, maybe a week or so ago, if I remember right. So I hope I hope that folks on YouTube enjoyed the thumbnail. I worked really bloody hard on it. I worked somewhat hard on it. It's mostly Photoshop with some extra text and frills added, but I did work hard on it. So I do hope you like it. And, for those of you on Discord as well, in the subscriber benefits channels, you can see that, earlier than intended whenever you post it. Mr. Jason says you're going to have a good weekend, good sir. You're beginning it with Mr. Coin today. You're going to see your friend tomorrow. You've purchased sirloin steak for Sunday dinner and then end your weekend with Mr. Coin on Monday. Nice. I, too, could go for a good sirloin steak. Unfortunately, I'll have to settle for the burritos I had this morning. Hashtag not sponsored by McDonald's. It's just where I happen to get the burritos from and the drink. Okay, so for us, very specifically, we can knock out the shrines and the caves and wells. We can knock all of those out. So that leaves us, without verifying anything else, that we have 878 total locations to find. Landmarks, shops, vendors, all that sort of stuff. All of them. Including the ones that wander around and have, like, various paths. We have to go find those. Yikes. Yeah, 878. Welcome on in, Cook 'em Up Shadow's dad. Good to see you. Hopefully you're doing well in body and mind, and I do hope you enjoy your stay. You've come in at a good time. I'm just about to go over, what our intentions for Tears of the Kingdom are today, as well as, what to expect for the next several streams. Out of curiosity, Cook 'em Up Shadow's dad, I assume that I'm reading that name correctly. Let me know if I'm not. How familiar with Tears of the Kingdom are you? Is it a game you've played before? A little, a lot, some of? I always like to ask my audience this to help navigate around spoilers, although I'm unfortunately not going to be able to do that very well today. As well as just generate some discussion around that. We can all swap stories about experience. Mr. Jason says, you're sat at a 59 stream streak right now, Mr. Coin. Nice. Too true, Mr. User 11, and welcome on in. Good to see you. I hope you're doing well in body and mind, and I hope you enjoy your stay. You just came to say hi? No worries. You've come in at a good time, though. I'm just about to explain what we're going to be doing today, and what will probably take a few streams to complete. And that is getting all 878 locations, which I'm sure we've gotten some of already, but I am going to be verifying each and every one of these surface, sky, and depth locations like right now. That's what we're going to be doing. Mr. Jason says, in your friend Twilight Blitz's channel, you're at a 94 stream streak. Nice. Okay, so this is how it's going to work. I am going to be doing a lot of tabbing back and forth, so I will probably not be able to see everyone's messages right away. I can hear them. I have a little notification to let me know someone's typed something, but I may not necessarily get to it today. It's going to be a lot of us staring at a map, unfortunately. And then whatever locations we don't spot or see, I'm going to have to go verify them on a map, and then we're going to have to go fly to it. So please consider today to be an AMA. Ask me anything, that doesn't violate terms of service. Obviously, and that means don't be an ist and don't be a phobe, and I have a well-curated, well-behaved audience, so I don't think we're going to have a problem with that, but I do feel the need to go ahead and, say something about that, just to preempt things, get ahead of the curve, as it were. So, I'm going to start with all of these sky locations, and we are going to just begin from there. I wish I could go region by region, honestly, but that's not the way this table was laid out when I found it. Mr. Jason says, question, are you just naturally this amazing? Or did it take time? I'm flattered. Thank you, Mr. Jason. Yeah, my weekend plans are mostly just going to be, to stay safe and hunker down for the storm, other than Saturday. Saturday, I'm supposed to go out with, I can't quite tell if, this is, the sheet location will tell me that. Yep, so there's that, along with the crystal refinery. We got that. Yeah, but Saturday, I'm supposed to have... fun with friends with a tabletop game, and we're supposed to be concluding the last session of Avatar: The Last Airbender. There's a tabletop version of that show. It's fun to play. It's RP heavy. It's not rules heavy. The most rules intensive thing is combat, and combat's meant to kind of not be a particularly often sought out or used mechanic or set of mechanics, so it makes a lot of sense that it's lengthy and chunky. But, and you know, boy oh boy, that is exactly what's happening on Saturday. Is we're fighting Big Bad, and Big Bad, one of the big bads, and there's going to be a lot of combat, and that's going to be very taxing on us. So I'm looking forward to it, but Gianna could definitely ice me out and make me feel very sad. So we've got... Oh yeah, some of these also just include like markers, not even just like locations, but markers. I know we've got the Wind Temple, right? Let's not be lazy. Let's verify. Yep. What about the Temple of Time? Yep, that's right there. Move out and see the Great Sky Island. Wellspring Island. Yeah, notably, the markers are definitely not the same as they're definitely not the same as the islands or the places they sit on. Oh yeah, I guess while we're here, so let me whip out my handy dandy pointer. Somewhere in this general area, when you complete the game, will be your completion percentage. I have learned, or rather remembered, this is going to be identical to the Breath of the Wild completion percentage. Guess what? That's a map completion percentage. And those completion percentages move by 0.04 of a percent. So that's, if you're looking at a percentage, a decimal percentage, that is 2 places past the decimal point on the right. Yeah. Each place you find, landmarks, shop locations, etc., is 0.04 of a percent flat. So that, yes, that is why I'm being driven insane. User 11 says, anyway, you're heading off. See you very well, User 11. Thank you so much for stopping by. It was good to see you. For any amount of time you could be here. I do hope you rest well, my lovely senator, and that I see you sooner rather than later. But if I don't see you, for whatever reason, do stay safe and take care of yourself. And with that, we're just gonna continue whittling down these charts. Not much to say other than that. The Rising Island chain, I believe, is over here. Yep, it's literally right there. Then we have Courage Island. Mr. Gordo Goku says, yep, that's why you're going nuts. Yeah, I could certainly feel that. We might take a break and try to find a compendium entry or two, you know, just somewhere along the way. This is like Bravery Island, and then trying to find Valor Island. I know that's here somewhere. Might have to do a deep scan to find it. I'm also going to be, like, somewhat laser focused on these while I attempt to find them. There's Valor Island right there. Mr. Gordo Goku says you don't see chasms on the list. Just a thought, maybe? Oh, you're right. There are no... Yep, you're absolutely correct. Wow. And notably, the wells do not count. The wells that double as chasms don't count as... I forget if they don't count as wells or if they don't count as chasms. But... Yay! I get to go back and update that, maybe. Or it could be in a preloaded... It could be in the preloaded locations tab. And, God help me if it is. Mr. Shop Korak, hello, yahaha. You just did your first stream? Nice. Nice. How was it? How was the stream? We've been and while that's happening, we are working on rounding out all of the map locations over these next few streams. So it's mostly going to be a lot of chit-chatting, followed by zooming in on the map. And I'll try to, like, speed this up. Well, I don't know. I mean, I want to, but part of me thinks the whole point of this is to verify we have each one on camera. Mr. Gordugoku says you're not sure, but you have to go down. You found a couple, but you forgot you had to go down that way. It shows in the depth. Yeah, like they're wells until you step into them. Exactly. I'm trying to make sure I have things to talk about today, because I'm, you know, it is going to be largely just staring at a map, you know, most of the stream. I think I know that's going to be boring. We need to find the sky mine, which I'm willing to bet is... Well, actually, I don't know. Here's the pond site. That is the mining cave. I can't tell what that is supposed to be. This is why I also have, like, a list of the locations also pulled up. It'll be in Sky, and it'll be... Nope. That's probably somewhere else. Okay. I feel like I definitely feel like I should have found this. Mr. Gordugoku says, sorry about the chasm thing. You've done real well. Oh, thank you for telling me. That does mean I have to go back and rework the sheet. But, you know, that's as simple as add a new booklet, add some rows, and then go and find all the chasms, put them there, and update the formulas. That does sound like a lot of work, but it really can probably be done in like a 30-minute session when you account for cell formatting. Speaking of which, I tried to make these cells backfilled gray. I hope that the gray is less harsh on everyone. That, like, it's easier to read and see. There's still like a significant contrast between the gray and the black, but I'm hoping that, you know, I don't give you guys snow blindness by looking through my worksheets. Where is this? Would anyone happen to know where Sky Mine is? I know that is related to a crystal. But all the pages are stubs, so I couldn't. Oh, maybe it's here. Yeah, Gikaku Shrine. Yeah, Gikaku Shrine, which is, I get the feeling it's down here somewhere. We'll find it. I know it's up here. Thankfully, the sky is not as packed as the surface. Oh my god, there are so many locations on the surface. It's not funny. It makes sense. You know, most of the game takes place in the surface right here. So that is Sky Mine. Okay. Easy enough. Too bad that's not seeable until you have second to maximum zoom. Just put that on. We'll just put that back on the sky locations and go from there. Lightcast Island. That sounds like it would be either up here in Hebra or over in Gerudo Sky. Mr. Gord, let's see. Mr. Gordogoku says, yeah, having to zoom everything is hard too. It's just tedious. This is a level of tedium that is not... it's not really unheard of. It's just... Normally, modern games give you a list for this kind of thing, and you can verify based on that. Although I say this, and even one of my most beloved games of all time, Elden Ring, does not have a list of locations. It has a list of, like, grace sites, and then you are allowed to look from there. You kind of have to, like, feel around for things. Mr. Jason says, think some jokes just above the JMP counter from the forbidden number. You love that this game added the depths in the sky, Mr. Coin. The previous game was only scratching the surface of what is possible. Too true, Mr. Jason. Mr. Gordogoku says, which is worse, Koroks or landmarks? Landmarks may give them a good run for their money, but honestly, I think it's still the Koroks, because even though there are more locations than there are Koroks, possibly, again, there are like 1,232 according to my tables, and it'll be closer to like 1,300 after I go back and add chasms. Even with all of that, it's not the same repetitive stuff. Cook 'em up, Shadow's dad. Sorry you have to leave, but you sub. No worries. Thank you for stopping by, and thank you for your subscription. I do wish I could have alerts for that, but Twitch gets real upset when I have alerts for other platforms, so you win some, you lose some. That said, it's good to see you, Cook 'em up, Shadow's dad. I do hope I get to see you sooner rather than later. And that you rest well, my lovely senator. But if I don't see you again at any point, do stay safe and take care of yourself out there. And with that, we're gonna get back to scouring these blasted maps to find Lightcast Island. There it is. Yeah, I thought that I remember doing that pretty early. Zonite Forge, I think, is down beneath the water temple. Yeah, there it is. And I saw Starview Island earlier. So let's see. South Lomain Castle, top floor. That is North Lomain Castle, top floor. Make sure I've not missed anything. Yeah, it's just, which is worse, having to sit and stare at a map, you know, and driving yourself mad over not finding one location or another, or doing the same kind of puzzle over and over and over, and looking around over and over and over and over to find like that blasted rock, or forget to ring a bell. Ring any bells? Yeah, you better find the two that the game has for Korok. I still think the Koroks are worse. Just to kind of like make sure I fully answered that question and didn't leave it hanging. Mr. Jason says, you still don't know what caused your Twitch to break. Clicking community still says failed to load module and the whispers pop-up does not appear. Mr. Gordogoku says, sure, Jan.
Sure, Jan.
Fair enough, good sir. Fair enough. I think both can be equivalent in the end. My personal hell is Koroks. Mr. Jason says it's been working until recently. I wonder if it's a Twitch thing then, because I know on YouTube they recently pulled a change where they pulled two different changes. One where you can create AI slop of yourself, which is just more data scalping, honestly. Or The other change that YouTube did is the ability to leave stuff in the background is going to be a paid feature, which is really super yucky. Yikes. There's capitalism, and then there's late-stage capitalism, or cronyism. I think we're entering a world of cronyism, like blatant cronyism and deceit. Not everything has to be a commodity, you know? Not everything has to be a commodity. Lome Sky Labyrinth, that's going to be over here. Wow, trying to do this with my left and right. My my right index and my right ring finger is quite taxing. South Eldon Sky Archipelago. Let's see. Farron Sky. West Necluda Sky Archipelago. East Gerudo Sky Archipelago. A lot of these are like regions now, more than specifically anything in particular. North Gerudo Sky. Necluda Sky. South Necluda. Mr. Gordagoku says, you're sure this whole thing is very hard, plus reading comments too? Like I said, I have a little audio cue that I can use to help me out. So I can hear when a person spits a message out to me through like Social Stream Ninja. I can hear that. So I know, okay, get finished with what I'm doing, then come over and look, you know, and make sure to check all the chats. I can't imagine streaming the kick when while this is happening. Checking 3 chats would break me. And I'm hoping I don't have to do anything like this again for Elden Ring Reforged. Mr. Jason says you pre-ordered the Tomodachi Life Living the Dream for Nintendo Switch today, Mr. Coin. Ah! I didn't take you for a Tomodachi person. Do you enjoy that sort of thing, Mr. Jason? It's gonna be... Okay, at least I could read these. At least these are big place names. South Hebra, West Hebra, Central Hyrule Sky, North Necluda, South Hyrule Sky, North Hyrule Sky, West Hyrule Sky. Then we move over here. South Lanayru Sky. I see the Lanayru. How about Tabantha? Where's that? Right over there. North Tabantha. So Kala, that's like Tortakala, I think. Mr. Jason says, you mean it's just something to open, you guess? It doesn't include a pre-order bonus Tomodachi Life Living the Dream magnetic photo frame? Fair. So it's a collectible. That makes a lot of sense to me. Why not just call this no Kala? Why does this get to be so called? That is interesting. That is very, very interesting. I didn't even pay attention to this. Because here's Sokala. You'd think they would write Southern or South Akala, but they wrote it here like you're referring to Southern California, where that becomes SoCal for whatever reason. You'd think they would do that here, but they don't. I don't know if that could be something that got overlooked, or maybe they came up with a special internal name and never removed it. That's interesting. Mr. Jason says you can't remember if you had Tomodachi Life or Miitopia on Nintendo 3DS or both, but you do remember having a Mii-related game back then. So that probably... that's probably Miitopia, if I had to guess. Tomodachi Life, I'm only familiar with the cursed things people say with that game. So we have those. Room of Awakening, that's over here. Marker. Room of Awakening. Let's see, Thunderhead Isles. Dragonhead Island. Floating Scales, that's going to be over here. Floating Scales. Okay. That is all of the sky locations. Those are done. 834 left, everybody. Isn't this riveting?
Gee, this is uplifting.
Thrilling gameplay, compelling commentary. Now we get to sharp with the surface. We get to start with the surface. Yay! I feel like I need to rinse my head with bleach after today. Oh yeah, you have to zoom into this level. Mr. Gordogoku says, looking over what you made, you did find the chasms is under surface locations. You're sorry you missed that? No worries. I may move that to their own book, though. Because it's technically... And this is something I do have to, like, double check, right? Is that I feel like some of the preloaded locations are not the same, or are exactly the same as like a sky location or a depths location. If that's the case, if that is the case, then those are things I get to take out. Those are things I might possibly get to take out because they already mirror something else, and thus the location count would get lower or become lower. Shop Quark says, yahaha. You're setting up stream area with only a tablet and a Switch and Switch 2. Nice. I hope that works out smoothly for you. Mr. Jason says, for the past 2 Tomodachi Life Living the Dream Nintendo Directs, they had a Mii character say, when is the game coming out? It's almost like Nintendo knows what the fans want. Kappa. Although the first time they gave us a vague 2026. Although Mr. Jason is a bit disappointed, Mr. Coin, for Mr. Jason has now kind of drilled a large hole in Mr. Jason's future finances. That sadness. But was it a hole you wish to drill? Thank you for the lurk. Much appreciated. Do enjoy your lurk. You hear that off in the distance, my senators and inductees? That is an ad storm. In about 5 minutes, it'll blow over us, and then we can get right back to the gaming. Thanks. I really appreciate everyone's time that they've spent here. It means the world to me. It would also mean the world if you could electrify my algorithm by following my Twitch channel, subscribing to my YouTube channel, liking the video and or streams on YouTube, and even leaving a comment. Doing all of those things ensures that when I zap your feeds with a live or a long-form content notification, you don't have to worry about missing any quality content. Thank you for sitting through that, everybody. You guys have been wonderful company today. And again, I do apologize for this absolute snooze fest we're going to be sitting through for the next couple of streams. But this has got to get done. And it's something I feel I need to show. If it weren't for that, then I would absolutely just verify it on my own and not even waste our time with this. But that said, we do take commercial breaks at the top of each and every hour. So in about 3.5 minutes, there should be a commercial break coming up. There will be a little timer in the upper left-hand corner when that happens. And it'll read for 3 minutes. During that time, I get up and take a stretch. I highly encourage everyone to do the same. You know, makes the break pass by faster, but regardless of how you choose to spend your time, regardless of how you choose to spend your time, you know, once that timer reads 0 minutes and 0 seconds, you know, I will have returned and we can pick back up on more of this. Oh, it's just awful. Ugh, just yuck. But we gotta power through it and get it done. Mr. Jason says, don't worry about wasting yours or our time, Mr. Coin. Any excuse for stream is a good reason. Well, that's, you know, this is where I'm gonna lean on my audience a little bit more than I usually do, where I say, you know, if you guys have things you want to ask me, anything at all, do feel free to ask. Just don't violate terms of service. Or if you want to talk shop about what my next projects are, or you know what your weekend plans are. Like, this is the part of this. These are going to be the days where I really lean in on that more than any other time. Mr. Gordogoku asks, what is Zonai relief? Yes, I think these are. If you look here, where it's the ancient tablet, I think these star islands count as locations, possibly. Of course, the Zonai relief also could be something else. My intuition tells me it's the star islands, but I could be wrong. In fact, I'll probably try to look at that over the course of the break, and I will hopefully get back to you with a more suitable answer than what I've already given you, Mr. Gordogoku. But my first instinct tells me it's those star islands. Even if there are 14 of them, I'm sure the 14th could be explained some other way. Let's see, we have confirmed specifically. Where is our friend the armor shop? Sandsteel rental. Sandsteel rental. Gerudo armor shop. I'm sorry, what? Interesting. Mr. Jason says, original, February, 290 pounds. March, 340 pounds. April, 420 pounds. May, 390. Or ignore the 2 Februaries. Okay. 130 pounds. March, 340 pounds. April, 370 pounds. May, 390 pounds. And June, 300 pounds. Yeah, that's, Oh, are you listing what your budget is for those months? That's interesting. Gerudo Armor Shop. Is that supposed to actually be a thing? And then we just... Or is that like the secret shop? I actually have zero clue what this is. Because the secret shop's not listed. And it's not even on the object map, if I'm being completely honest. Even when I'm tracking other stuff. That's weird. Oh, sorry. See you guys after the break. I am so sorry about that. Oh, my body is just not happy today. Yikes. Let me, okay, I feel I need to address this right now. This is like a huge no-no. If you're telling me you're going to stream, that's fine. And I'm directing this specifically to Mr. Shop Korok, because he is the one that has done this. If you want to tell me that you've come back from a stream, that is fine. Or that you're leaving right the second to go stream. But hold on. But the one thing, the one like streaming no that we do not do, this is my personal red line, is you don't tell me that you're streaming right now. This is not me being a mean person or anything like that. It's just that is a huge no. If you are trying to create content, you do not tell someone, like live content, you do not tell someone that you are live right now. That can be read as an attempt to grab viewers, even if I think that's not the case. That is still like the one thing I have to do something about. All the rest are fine. Anything else is fine, just not that. So I'm going to be meting out a warning on that, along with purging that message. Also, please stop spamming Yahaha. I might have to like do something about that if you keep up. I think if I see another couple of them just unprompted, I might take some action. Mr. Jason says, take your time, good sir, and good things come to those that wait. Too true, and thank you. Mr. Jason says, welcome back, good sir. For context, those amounts are unallocated amounts, though amounts that have yet to have any plans attached to them. But yeah, February took a rather large nosedive, and April dropped by a little bit. But March, May, and June stayed exactly the same. Understood. And also, I swore I saw a Discord notification, so let me look at that real quick. Oh, this is what you told me to disregard. Okay. Oh. I'm gonna figure out something I can do to make it up to you guys. In fact, why don't we take a teeny tiny little break and just grab some chests in Sky real quick. There are 3 that I wanted to look at. Just give us a little bit of action, and then, back to the boring stuff. Mr. Jason says, just know one thing, Mr. Coin. What's that? Please consider these chests as payment for what happened during the 2 o'clock hour. Mr. Jason says, no matter what, you never have to make anything up to you. You being my friend, you being your friend, me being your friend is more than enough for you. Same with Carly. Thank you. I appreciate that. I personally feel better if I make it up. I'll put it that way. Let me, not conduct electricity while we're here. There we go. Perfect. So this mechanism, now the Thunderhead Islands always storm. We don't ever have to worry about like trying to purge them of storm. That's just not going to be a thing that happens. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to come up here and we're going to wait. Mr. Jason says you couldn't have found 2 more amazing people. Thank you. I appreciate that. We're just gonna head in through here. Yeah, I see you over there, Mr. Like. Oh, let me not use the puff shroom spear. Let's not do that. Ah, a nice shield. I will replace this plain one with that one. And I will put back on our dear friend, the puff shroom spear. Great. So now we're gonna head over and grab these 3, and I will put on this sneaky stuff. This is a particularly soothing spot, you know, if you don't mind the occasional lightning strike, to just kind of come over and ooh, actually we could like move this around. Never mind, we need to do it this other way, like this. Turns out you don't have to do anything with the... Mr. Gordogoku says you don't think your comments are working on YouTube. Oh, I'm sorry. No. It didn't scroll. That's my bad, Mr. Gordogoku. Your comments on YouTube are working just fine. I will, since you're addressing these... Since they're all the same comment, I will just address them all together. A mine is the same as a cave. Unless we're referring to the sky mine very specifically. Yeah, the sky mine is like a separate location. But the mines are the same as a cave. Wait a minute. Okay, surface mines are the same as caves. If you're talking about the mines in the depths, no, those are depth locations. They are not, those are not mines. Sorry, I felt I needed to clean that up after I said it. Mr. Jason says you genuinely thought you would never trust with administrator ever again after what you told me from your past, good sir. So you and Carly having administrator means you've surpassed any concerns you would have had. Although for all of our sakes, especially with the TCC being as big as we are, you were considering enabling 2FA for actions internally. 2FA might be good anyway, for entirely different reasons. That was the high-level meeting you were supposed to have today, but you completely forgot. I knew I should have probably asked you if you were gonna have a meeting today, but so Mr. Coin to you, I appreciate that, Mr. Jason. We can discuss that, you know, tomorrow. Mr. Gordogoku says, okay, you were looking around the volcano area. You were wondering it's all... No problem, Mr. Gordogoku. Anytime. Sorry again for not spotting the question until you moved to the purple app. I hate that you had to do that, but... Yeah, apparently just YouTube chat did not scroll, so I didn't see it. That's all. Alright, let's pop ourselves over to this island. Mr. Jason says you're fine with me and Carly, but you're concerned if any of the accounts got compromised. I have 2FA on mine. I'm sure 2FA wouldn't be particularly difficult for Carly to set up if she doesn't have it already. You know, etc., etc. Oh, I went the wrong direction. I want to be going this way. Whoopsie. which has nothing to do at all with this lift. And if you don't have 2FA, you should probably get it yourself, Mr. Jason. Like, if our individual accounts have 2FA, you should be fine. And we can make that a like a topic of discussion moving forward for like the board as well. That high level discussion can still happen, and it's just other stuff. Mr. Jason says you have 2FA in your Discord anyway. Yep, it's just adding some additional steps, although us executives love adding extra steps. Fair, although mostly for clients. I mean, extra steps are extra steps. And we were all clients once, you know, except for maybe yourself and maybe one or two people. Okay, so we have, let's see if I think this is as simple as make sure there are no metallic boxes up here. Yeah, make sure there are no metallic boxes up there. Why can I... Oh, that's just always glowing. Okay. Let me, try to find... Can I rewind that arrow? No, I unfortunately cannot do that. Oh, I'm an idiot. We could do this. Better. There's one of these chests. Mr. Jason says, indeed, good sir, Miss Harrow began as a client. Fair enough. We should have already gotten the... Oh. There is actually an old, a treasure there. That's cool. We could go deal with that. I thought we would have had all the old map, or all of the relevant bits for the old maps. That's nice. But most of us began as clients at one point or another in your Discord, so what is but one extra step for all of us to do? Plus, if 2FA is like a requirement, you know, barring like exceptions, you know, having a place for a honeypot to catch bots would be actually really easy. With like 2FA like in place. But again, these are high level discussions that could take place in a more private setting later. Nice. Yeah, if you guys want Thunderwing butterflies or electric darners, the Thunderhead Isles are the place to come find them. I was farming electric darners yesterday, actually, and I ended up coming here to get the rest. It was actually a really relaxing experience for yours truly. Mr. Jason says, what you're most scared of or scared about is that you have the Super Mario Brothers Wonder Nintendo Switch 2 edition plus Meetup in Bella Bell Park and Tomodachi Life Living the Dream pre-ordered, and we've not even had a Nintendo Direct yet. You pre-ordered 2 of the latter. Is it still technically a niche title? I see. Give me 1 second. Sorry, I had to cough something up. So sorry. Mr. Gordugoku says, yep, they're attracted to the rain. Yeah, Farron, I believe the Farron Woodlands are another place you can find some, sometimes. Or, occasionally, I think you might be able to find them in other places that rain. Like, the Lanayru Wetlands. You might occasionally find one. But they're especially prone to places that are thunderous. Nice topaz. Then we have one more spot. It's like out this general direction. There may perhaps be more treasure chests here that we have possibly missed, but these are at least, the ones that I was able to spot during, like, farming runs. Can you just poke them with the puffshroom spear? And then you bop them over the head once or twice. Let me find one that won't shock me. Goodbye. You can take that too. Excellent. Mr. Jason says, oh, Mr. Coin, do you roughly remember that streamer where you sent me and Miss Carly a screenshot of them sending them to their doom by finding the Koroks? Well, just randomly, someone was in their chat who's from Bahrain. Oh, you made that person in the streamer laugh. You said the user is from Bahrain and where am I is the rain. Oh, hardy har har. If I could find the laugh or the applause track. The rain, Bahrain, yeah. Funny. Mighty Zonite Long Spear. Do I want one of these? Yeah, instead of the gnarled stick, I'll definitely take it. That's great. Mr. Jason says, because for Brits, what even is the sun? Who even needs the sun? Just incandescent bulbs, surely. Now we're gonna go check out this old treasure. Did I just not step into the Krenel Canyon mine? That would have been awful to find out. Come the armor upgrades, because I was sure I had everything. I'll probably need to make an armor's checklist to make sure we've got it. Yeah, look, we have unmined sediment. Yep, I was never here. You'll be delayed after the break again, good sir? Very well, Mr. Jason. Very well. Please tell me these are charges. They're trousers of the sky. Nope. Missing armor, everybody. Legends say these trousers were once worn by a hero who appeared from the sky riding a mighty bird. It was the official garb of a certain order of knights. Ah, Skyward Sword armor. Neato burrito. Mr. Gordu Goku says 0.4% for you, or 0.04% for you. LOL. Indeed, right? GG. Mr. Jason says you find it funny that Link just nonchalantly kicks the chest. Oh, I prefer it to do da 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 da. We don't need that for every chest. Well, I promise we don't need extended fanfare for every chest. That would be annoying. That would be like that on top of a really good level troll would probably make me pretty irate, if I'm being honest. Mr. Coin, you just reminded me that you needed to remind me of something, good sir. Oh, do tell. Okay. Well, we can at least listen to some different music while we are out here previewing things. So the Zonai reliefs, to my knowledge, are the do have to do with these star-shaped islands. Where are they? Right here. Oh, also fun fact. If you land on these star islands hard enough, you can pop them all out of the stars. Yeah, I don't know if people knew that, but apparently, apparently, according to several Reddit posts that I've found online, you can just do that whenever you want. Even if you've already done the quest, you can just come back up here on your own and just plop with like the a glide set upgraded to tier 2, you can just do that. Mr. Jason says there are 3 types of ways to open the treasure, but if you don't wear shoes... Oh yeah, when Link stubs his foot or toe. Oh, that's hilarious. But, and I would do that. In my own time, I probably would make Link remove his trousers just to do that each time. But that gets tedious. So, me doing that on my own is about as, me doing that on my own is way better than, subjecting the stream to Link personally stubbing his foot the whole way through. That's extra time added for no reason. I'm pretty confident that the armor store in Gerudo Town is the... I want to just double check and make sure it's not there's not like a jewelry store listed. I think the armor store is the jewelry store, but let me just verify the internal name of that place. I actually can't verify the name of that place. All I get is a stamp. Let me try searching for it real quick. Wow, I don't even get that name on a like this. That just straight up does not show. Is that the I'm not sure what to make of that. Welcome on in, Mr. Shadyo. Good to see you. Hopefully you're doing well in body and mind, and I hope you enjoy your stay. You've come into a rather boring stream. We're in the final throes of this game, and we are verifying all the location placeholder or like names today, because there are 1,235 of them possibly to verify for map completion percentage, and each entry validates 4/100ths that's 2 zeros after the decimal place of the map completion percentage, which we get at the end of the game after defeating Big Bad. And that's a lot of things to have to, flit through today. And this is going to be the majority of the stream. We did take a little bit of a break for chess, but today is largely AMA. So if you have anything you want to ask me, Mr. Shadow, feel free. Just, don't violate terms of service. Same stipulation I gave everyone else. Don't violate terms of service, and we'll be pretty golden. Mr. Gordo Goku says, still funny, though? Too true, good sir. Too true. If you mean Gerudo, there are 2 armor places, one in the city, one in the bazaar. I wonder if that's the one that they're referring to, then. Yeah, okay. Nope. Yep. Right here. Shop armor _Gerudo. Yep. And there's only one of those. Cool. Glad we got that resolved. Thank you for that, Mr. Gordo Goku. I wouldn't have even thought about Kara Bazaar, but I guess I should be. Mr. Shadgo says you're also completionist, but sometimes it's too tedious and I give up. I think Tears of the Kingdom would be the sort of game that would browbeat you out of being a completionist. I personally think that. Mr. Gordo Goku and I can both attest to our loss of sanity from this game ourselves. Promise. Oh, I've missed 2 Mr. Jason comments. Did you know that Mr. Jason received a musical treasure chest as a pre-order bonus with Mr. Jason's copies of Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds, and it plays the iconic tune? Nice. I did not know that, but not unexpected. Mr. Jason says he just reminded me of something else, Mr. Coin. One of the reasons why Mr. Jason is very picky on who visits Mr. Jason's Animal Crossing New Horizons Nintendo Switch 2 Edition island is because he gave a streamer a dodo code to tour the island, but someone lurking in the chat decided to be a complete jerk and steal Mr. Jason's fruits. So now Mr. Jason hopes that said person enjoys their 4,500 bells worth of fruits. Mr. Shadyo said, or I'm sorry, Mr. Jason says, as well as stubbing their toe every morning for the next month. In addition to the, it's the I wish you stepped on a pile of Legos meme, right? I think. Mr. Shaggy says, actually, you do have a shower thought. It came to mind when you took a shower. No worries there, Mr. Shadyo. You're curious if I know my ancestry, as every American came from somewhere, UK, Germany, Ireland. I'm a Scotsman. Sorry. We eat a bowl of haggis every morning, drink a good bottle of alcohol, give me the finest mead, and oh yes, don't rip me plaids. I jest, I'm joking. But yes, I am the great grandson of a Scottish immigrant. My mother's half of the family moved to the U.S. from during the potato famine. Yeah. And ever since. You were so close. You guessed maybe Ireland. Oh, welcome on in, Miss Carly. Good to see you. Hopefully you're doing well in both body and mind, and I do hope you enjoy your stay. You've come in during a boring stream, I'm afraid. We are verifying 1,235 different locations today. Some of which, 300 and some odd of which we verified by playing the game and getting the shrines and stuff. But we still have a whopping 800 and some odd locations left to go before we're all finished. So today's stream is an AMA, mostly. Feel free to ask me anything. Because otherwise, staring at a map and then traveling to places is kind of what we're going to be doing for the next few streams. Just as a warning. But I hope your day has been going well for you. And thank you for the shout out. If you guys don't know Miss Carly, please do check out their content. They work really hard. They stream a variety of games just like I do. Whether it's Dead by Daylight or cutesy cozy Animal Crossing, you are sure to find a home in Miss Carly's stream while you're there. Mr. Jason says, you're not Joe King, Mr. Coin. You are Mr. Coin. I appreciate that. And then we're at the Ireland comment. Yeah, a lot of people would think, look of the Irish and all that, but no. I am the great-grandson of a Scotswoman. So that is the strongest blood heritage I have. But Mr. Coin does not claim his blood heritage. I'm an American. I was born in America. I live here. So American is my heritage, which means if America sinks, then I lack a heritage, and I will not bother to claim it. I will allow my children and my children's children to claim that blood heritage if they want. But I personally will excise myself from it. I want to be my own person, because I've thought about this a lot, and I do apologize for waxing poetic on a map stream. I'll try to talk and do this at the same time. it frustrates my mom and my sibling because, well, you know, that it's that half of my family, and it's, you know, the argument usually is you can't just excise a heritage from your life. That's not how that works. I'm very aware that's how it works, but what I find is Americans all too often want to lay claim to heritages that they have no business laying claim to because the blood is too dilute. For example, my dad he tells himself that he is part Cherokee, Cherokee Native American. I believe that because I don't have any way to verify its authenticity. And he tells me that he is 1/16th. I think that's the number, 1/16th, which would make me 1/32nd, you know, Cherokee Native American. Like if we just did the math and assuming blood relations or blood heritage always dilutes by half with every birth, I would be 1/32nd. 1/16th is already kind of iffy on heritage claims. 1/32nd's a non-starter. So I kind of don't consider, you know, my dad's half of the family to be, you know, part Cherokee, not without proof. It's too easy for someone to just, and Americans abroad have been especially guilty of pretending they have some heritage and they don't actually have it. Just look at the debacle between America and Canada. There are Americans that are out there wearing Canadian flag badge pins in order to try to pass themselves off as Canadian. Utter cowardice, by the way. If there's any person out, if there is any American out there doing that, please stop. Accept being branded as an American, have some pride in where you were born, and work hard to show that our European, British, Canadian, Australian, and Japanese friends that not every American is a blood-sucking monster. Do us that service. But back to my thoughts about my own heritage and everything, and I promise I'll read comments in a second. I just want to get this off my chest because otherwise I'll chop it up into too many itty bitty tiny pieces and I'll never remember to say it. I don't want to be like my American peers who attempt to claim a heritage and have no paperwork to show for it. So I don't claim it. In fact, I choose to walk the path of the damned, as it were, and I do not claim heritages from countries that I do not have valid proof of. You know, whether that be my dad's with, you know, the Native American Cherokee tribe or whatever, or my mom's and my great-grandmother's, you know, Scottish heritage. I lay claim to none of it. It might be in my blood. There might be DNA proof, but I'm not about to go sign up to give the government, you know, weaponized biological data for them to do that with, or give some company my biological data, my DNA, only for them to turn around and sell it when that inevitably they collapse. See 23andMe as an example of a company that operated in good faith, but eventually they ran out of money. And so what did they do when they collapsed? They sold that data. They did not return it to all the families they took it from. They straight up sold it to the highest bidder, and those bidders in turn will sell it to governments that are waiting in the wings to buy it for infinite sums of money for use in Palantir or other national security oriented systems abroad. Those are my thoughts on my heritage and why I choose to walk the lonely path, in my honest opinion. Sorry, I didn't mean to go down rabbit holes, but I wanted to get my thoughts out there. Let's see. Mr. Jason's, oh, that's still directed at Miss Carly. Mr. Shadkus is fair enough. Same as you were Romanian, even if you are Russian by ethnicity. But in your case, you can say that you're more than half-half, because in your community, the traditions and all those things that tie us to Mother Russia are still practiced. That's fine. And I want to make something abundantly clear, because I know that will, if I don't bother to say it, people will assume that I'm wanting to apply that standard to other people. This is a self-imposed standard. So if other people want to go and lay claim to heritages for which they have no proof, or cannot, cobble together the funds to get proof, that's fine. That's that person's story to live. I don't judge. Me personally, I will not lay claim to heritages for which I have no proof. And since I am not willing to give up parts of myself to have that burden of proof, the only heritage that I can lay claim to is that of a generic American heritage. And I will happily stand by that statement, even if it spits on the legacy of the familial heritages that my father and my mother have both brought in when giving birth to me and my sibling. I will happily spit on that to define myself. Mr. Jason says, Mr. Brits, or I'm sorry, most Brits. Mr. Brits would be pretty funny, though. Most Brits, Mr. Coin, especially not now, acknowledge that we're geographically in Europe, but prefer British and don't identify at all with European. I've heard some Brits do still identify as Europeans, and I've heard some don't. So you're one of the ones that identify as being a British. That's fine. That's totally fair. That is self-determination, which, since I'm an American, and I'm one of the Americans that still believes it, the right to self-determination is really sacred. It's very sacred. If you say you are something, unless it's something that requires proof of authenticity, then you just get to be that. You get to identify as that. And there's not a damn thing that anyone can do about it. Let me make sure I've not caught up on that I've not misread app messages. Mr. Gordo Goku says, amen. Indeed, in response to the in response to us both being driven insane by Tears of the Kingdom completion percentages. Then they go on to say, you don't understand the people who say they are Irish or Hispanic during the holiday, but you never hear about it the rest of the year. Yeah, see, that's what I'm talking about. Like, a token heritage is what I would call it, where the heritage becomes tokenized, a commodity, a symbol of status, rather than something to earnestly wear and I identify as. I have a problem with that too, but maybe they are, but it's strange. I mean, you never know what's mentioned in closed circles or like behind closed doors. Maybe perhaps those conversations do come up, and so you should be careful. We all should be careful not to paint with too broad a brush, but there are people out there who do probably only bring up their heritage in public, and then public in order to gain clout or to gain attention or access to something, and then never bring it up again. That I take issue with that. When people talk about others being skinwalkers or tangentially related only, like a race traitor, that is the sort of subject that the claim a heritage during a holiday and don't touch it again touches on is the idea of being a pretender, not being honest, not being earnest in the way you carry yourself, or being a shapeshifter when it's convenient. That, like, I do take issue with that. Mr. Shadio, moving back over to the purple app. Fun and sad fact at the same time, a Moldavian, I'm hoping I'm saying that correct, that you spoke with, ex-dad's co-worker, said in their country they heard that German people eat kids and that it's horrible here, and they really believe it. Yuck. Gross. Yeah, there are people here in America who believe that Haitians eat their animal pets as well, and it's really disgusting. I have heard that most British people are in fact cynics about the UK, Mr. Jason. That does ring true to me. Mr. Jason says, "You mean Hotel Chocolat doesn't even serve Europe? But is there not a European branch though? I feel like there would be, because Britain and Europe, even though relations have soured due to Brexit, they would at least, want to swap or trade goods. No European branch? Awful. That's kind of stinky, but maybe it's just lack of like money or something. Like it would be difficult for Hotel Chocolat to like open stores there, because the EU does have some pretty stringent food standards." Mr. Jason says, "Someone made you laugh earlier today, as it's 100% true. They said about the UK, you forget that, about the UK, quote, I forget that they want the luxuries of being in the EU with none of the obligations." Yeah, that sounds about, not exactly correct. It's more like everyone wants the latitude to make their own decisions, right? Like I said, it's sovereignty and right to self-determine. Everyone wants that. Unfortunately, sometimes self-determination and sovereignty get in the way of either greater good or corporate greed or some sin of folly that's about to be committed. Yeah, just some sin of folly that either has yet or already has been committed. And suddenly when people realize those things, do the rights of self-sovereignty and self-determination become a problem. I value my personal sovereignty really highly. That's the reason why I speak in perhaps such strong terms. I don't like when people force me, good or bad, into doing certain actions. I, of course, try to rationalize at least the good actions that I'm forced into. I want to come to those things on my own. And if I have to do it because someone told me to do it, well, then that's what I get to think about later. Mr. Jason says, "Someone made me laugh earlier today, as it's 100% true." Oh, yeah, okay, that's in regard to the UK comment. Mr. Jason says, "True." And then Mr. Shadio says, "Fun fact, we celebrate Christmas on the 7th of January, as your community is old rite Orthodox, and your holidays are based in the Julian calendar." Ah, that's cool. Interesting, and I'm sure that causes no end of confusion and headache with planning holidays, but that is cool. Mr. Shadio hence that goes on to say, hence why your ancestors left Russia, because they were persecuted for being on the old rite when Russia adopted the new rite, the Gregorian calendar. Mr. Jason says, "Barely anything grinds your gears and annoys you, Mr. Coin, but you know that you absolutely despise the specific Americans who usually end up getting made fun on r/shit Americans say, where they say the USA is the best country in the world, and some of them call Europeans Europores." Yeah, that's a certified JD Vance moment. Yup. Pete Hegseth too. Those two men have been caught on Signal saying those types of things. disgusting, is what I have to say to that. And they deserve being mocked every chance they get. You hear that off in the distance, my senators and inductees? That is an ad storm. In about 5 minutes, it'll blow over us, and then we can get right back to the gaming. Thanks. I know I've already chatted away about you guys supporting me for free. You all being here is enough for me, but if you want to support my work further and more directly, I have a couple of easy options for you. Available to everyone through either Twitch or YouTube. You can check right under the Twitch video player in the About Me section or the bottom of the YouTube description. Once on the link tree, Patreon will have a peace-shaped logo, Coffee has a panel, Kick, Twitch, and YouTube have icons next to each other. My Instagram, Blue Sky page, and Discord server take up the remaining icons. Available only to those on Twitch are the other easy options. The bits purchases at the top banner on twitch.tv, spendable for any of the power-up rewards or as direct bits donations on Twitch, or the subscribe button near the chat panel. You'd take my heart out of its Faraday cage if you click on that Patreon or the coffee. But again, you guys simply being here is enough. Thanks for listening to that stuffy and boring explanation. Now, back to the content. Thank you guys for sitting through that stuffy stuff. It's the part of content creation I don't like doing, but it's got to get done. We do take commercial breaks at the top of each and every hour. You guys have been wonderful company, by the way. And that commercial break will be coming up in about 3 minutes. During that, or when that time comes, there will be a nice little timer in the upper left-hand corner of the screen above my head. And it'll read 3 minutes. During that time, I will be getting up and getting a stretch or doing other things during my break. And hopefully, I get to come back on time this time. During that time, I highly encourage you guys to get up and do the same thing. It makes the break pass by that much faster. And, well, you can find other productive stuff to do. But... I'm no one's boss. Spend your time during those 3 minutes however you like. For when that time does, in fact, read 0 minutes and 0 seconds, I will have returned, and we can pick back up on, hopefully, map reading. This has been a wonderful AMA hour, but I do feel like we need to move on eventually and not stare at the same spot. For forever. That's awful. I hate that I put you guys through that. Mr. Shadio says, in Romania, usually the propaganda says that we are not a sovereign country as we're being controlled by the EU. Yeah, but you still have your own territory. You guys can opt out of the EU. People seem to forget that. The EU is like the African Union. They're the same thing. They're different entities, but conceptually they're the same thing. There are countries that have agreed to be in a cooperative together and rely on the same currency, same units of measure, generally think the same way, and so on. And most of Europe agrees, or they wouldn't be in the EU. Most of the complaints I hear is like it's too weighted toward France or toward Germany, but that's an internal EU problem more than anything. Mr. Jason says, you know with what you spend that you're not a euro poor. But yes, you agree. They're disgusting, and rightly so they get made fun of. Absolutely. Mr. Shadio says, fun fact, Romania fought in Afghanistan with America before being in NATO. That was a response one of the politicians gave when your president said that America always helped other countries, but he's curious when they will help America. Yeah. Disgusting. Mr. Shadio says, good to know. You have to disable your ad block then, apparently. Or don't. It'd be better if you didn't, honestly. I'm thoroughly disgusted with the American administration. Mr. Jason says, with the euro, we were told to have it ages ago, but the Brits collectively told them to stick the euro where the sun don't shine. Yeah, but I wonder if that hurts, you know, the UK in the long run, because instead of being a part of a collective, it's now part of itself. But we can come and discuss that again after the commercial break. See you guys then. Sorry about that, everybody. I'm back. I'm gonna catch up on chat messages, and then we're gonna lock back in and work on map stuff. I hope that sounds good. I've spent too long chatting already, but I did enjoy our discussion. Yes. Mr. Shadgu says yes, but the propaganda is strong. They're like the EU stole from us all those years. Meanwhile, you didn't have highways until getting into the EU. We built them with EU money. Ah, the stain of nationalism creeping its ugly head. Yeah, that is too true. Propaganda is a strong thing, and none of us are immune to it. Even if you have all the wisdom and knowledge in the world, propaganda is an insidious thing, and it requires constant thinking in order to outwit, outsmart, and outfoil propaganda, and to not be grabbed up and ensnared or snatched away into its wily recesses where you will never come out once you are ensnared. Mr. Jason says, I mean, heck, just my hotel chocolat purchases make even Americans' jaws drop. Yes, too true. Mr. Jason says, if so, your hotel chocolat purchase of a patisserie chocolate ostrich Easter egg earlier today came to over 500 Ron. Oh, yeah. And that's a singular item as well. Yeah, very expensive. Mr. Shaggy says, well, Mr. Coin, looks like the ads only come your way when you don't want them. You disabled your ad blocker and your VPN. You don't have ads if you're in Romania and still have none. Oh, the EU does have better protections on the internet. The enshittification is the sort of thing that seems to strike in the UK, in the US, and elsewhere. Mr. Jason says, propaganda is strong and no one is immune to it, Mr. Coin, but some Brits know that no matter who's in charge in the UK, you're effed if you do and effed if you don't. That second O should be an A, but it's close. It's close enough for government work, Mr. Executive Chair, and you could be satisfied with that. Propaganda is a hard word to spell, especially because some people turn that A into an O, or they try to lengthen the A instead of shortening the A. It's weird. Mr. Shadio says yes, but if you're on Sweden or don't have the VPN connected, you get 3-minute ads. Sweden has very good protections then. Everyone is encouraged to use a VPN until the bans come, which my understanding is that VPN bans are kind of supposed to be on their way into US, UK, EU, and Australian legislation. They're supposed to be on their way to those legislation desks. Mr. Jason says, well done, good sir. You passed my deliberate mistake test. Yes, propaganda. You totally meant that. Mr. Gordon Cook says, like Clemson versus Clemson. Yeah, exactly. People include the P all the time when there's not supposed to be a P there. Wait, what? Yeah, apparently there are supposed to be laws like where VPNs are getting banned, or no VPNs have been banned yet, but laws are being drafted around them because of internet or age verification laws. You can't have a VPN if you're having to go through age verification. That's just not a thing that's allowed to happen. Let me look it up so people know that I'm not, speaking utter tripe to you. If I could spell correctly. So one article comes from... Oh, this is right from the EU. Okay. Mr. Shadio, I will post a link to you in Discord during commercial break that explains the initiative. So it's an initiative. It's not... this isn't signed into law. This is something, to my understanding, that I think is going to be, looked at into law. But... yeah, there's talk, thanks to child dating apps and a bunch of other nonsense, that if the EU and other places do think about considering these laws more seriously, internet anonymity will be gone. Utterly and completely. Which is disgusting. It's gross. The internet is supposed to be a service, not a commodity. And if internet anonymity does disappear, then being on the internet could kill you. Not literally, but you self-dox every time you use the internet, which is really bad. Joke's on me, though. The internet already has my information. I dox because I work on Twitch and YouTube. So Google has my info already. So they could clap my ass anytime. Sorry, that was a bit strong. But they could quite literally send agents to my house anytime, no questions asked. You know, they don't have to figure out to find it. They already have it. That kind of thing. Mr. Shadio says that sucks because the main problem is that on mainstream streaming websites, Disney, Netflix, sometimes you can't find a show at all or not with Romanian subtitles. So you have to find it in other ways. Understandable. Also, you have the idea of geographical thingy for mainstream platforms because in Romania, you have those subtitles in Romanian for some shows, but in Germany, not so much. Yeah. Hopefully you learning German will mean that you can use German subtitles instead at some point, or to pair alongside the Romanian subtitles, and then you won't need to worry about you won't have so many issues trying to find subtitles. There should be more language subtitles. But I think if we want like language subtitles for every language under the sun, translation tech needs to get a lot better. And that means pumping that stuff into Google. And I don't know if I like that. Mr. Shadio says, yes, for example, you can use English subtitles, but you still prefer to have them in your own language. Exactly. Yeah, it's like that. I could certainly read Italian subtitles, but I would much prefer to read them in English. Okay. We have prattled on an extra 3 minutes. So or like an extra like 8 minutes. So let's lock in and get things done. So I'm looking in all of these shops. There's that armor shop right there. There's one in Hateno, which that's Cece's place, I'm pretty sure. Yep. Right there. Mr. Shadio says, also, Mr. Coin, where is the passion from Italian language coming from? There was a person on here named Malicious. Or Malicious, since I think that was that name had 2 eyes. That was a username that was here. She was an Italian. And at that time, I was of the mindset of, oh, if there are people from different nationalities, coming on and speaking different languages, I want to be considerate and learn what they're typing so that I can read it back in English. And, be kind of a multilingual stream. But, and I cracked open Duolingo for a while in an attempt to learn this. I did the same with Romanian, Japanese, and I believe even German at that time. I looked at a handful of languages. But eventually real life got in my way, and I kind of just stopped doing it after a while. And Italian was the language I got the furthest along in Duolingo. I know people are going to yell at me saying Duolingo is not how you learn real language. I know, which is why I can't speak it. The most I could do is recognize the words, but at least I know how to recognize the words and put them together into a comprehensible sentence. Just slide things around until I get the right word ordering. So I can read some Italian. It's not perfect, and there are definitely words I don't know, and a lot of informal spellings too. I also especially don't know, but yeah, I can read some Italian. I wish I could say the same for Romanian, because that would have been the second language that I've gotten particularly far along with in Duolingo, but that really ended up not being the case after a while. So yeah, it's less of a passion for Italian and more along the lines of, at the time that I was, learning or trying to learn Italian, I had a good motivation for doing so, and that was streaming. This was multiple years ago. This is when I was streaming like This War of Mine or Watch Dogs 2. That was like a long time ago. Eight-ish years, I think. Really long time. I would have been a slightly more strapping, less jaded 23-year-old back then. I was young. I could do all that. I can't do that anymore. So my knowledge of Italian is the only thing out of all the languages I've learned. That's the only one that's crystallized any, so to speak. And even then, I lose a little bit of it every day. The crystallization is not permanent. That's all. I hope I realize I took 60 words to answer your question, Mr. Shadio, but I do hope I have answered it. Mr. Shadio says also, Mr. Coin, you hope you don't overstep your boundaries. I'll let you know if you are. Promise. But you were curious to know how I was doing career-wise, as you knew that I planned to become a bioterrorism specialist. Oh, no worries. I don't have a problem answering it. I ran out of college funds, and I wasn't able to finish. So I have 2 degrees that don't give me anything worth a damn other than knowledge. And that knowledge is kind of a waste on me. I would have been on my way toward a bachelor's degree in molecular biology, and I would have been, once I finished with that, I would have been able to rely on, graduate financial aid to finish up. But I never made it there. So that ended up not materializing. So eventually, I ended up becoming a pet sitter. I pet sit for people. I house sit for people. That's what I do. I don't particularly make good money doing it because it's contract work. I have to find clients, and they have to trust in my ability to keep their stuff safe and take good care of their animals. But I do get an occasional contract here or there. Mr. Shadio says, I hope you'll be able to continue to study it in the near future. The U.S. government would need to be overthrown first. I'm afraid that would be the only thing that would allow me to continue studying it, because I have borrowed up to my limit on financial aid. And because I do not have employment, I do not have consistent employment, and I do not have anything upon which I could reliably claim I have any credit. Since I don't have anything that I could translate into credit, I'm sorry, my brain is just farting right this second. I can't actually take out a private loan in order to go to college. I can't do that. So I'm in debt, lots of debt, federal debt even, not just any kind of debt, but federal debt. And the only way to get rid of that, because student loans are like the single solitary debt you are not allowed to default on. The government can quite literally come take your knives and forks away from you if it would pay for your debt. The only way for that to perish, for that to, slough off, is if the U.S. financial institutions were to become insolvent. Not necessarily that the U.S. government would be overthrown. I kind of don't think that would happen. I'm moreover speaking in jest, but the U.S. financial institutions would have to crumble first. And if those do crumble, well, I'm sorry to the rest of the world, but based on the hegemony we were able to achieve, you know, during the history of the United States, a lot of other countries that do not diversify their portfolio investments will probably also go the same way we do and take on a lot of debt, holding on to our dollars. You kind of want to get rid of that as soon as humanly possible. Welcome on in, Mr. Fent. Good to see you. Hopefully you're doing well in body and mind, and I do hope you enjoy your stay. You've come in on a bit of a boring stream today. We are in the midst of checking all of the locations on the maps of Hyrule. We are onto the surface, and there are a lot of surface locations. East Lookout. Oh, okay, that's this. That's what this is. Okay, so the chasms are literally right here. So today is largely a ask me what you want to ask me. It's an AMA. Ask me anything. Just don't break terms of service more than anything. Mr. Shatyo says, I really hope the American system will get better at some point. We're at a point where we cannot vote out. I don't think we're going to be able to vote out our problems. I really don't. And I realize Nazi might be like a common word that people like to use in order to compare 1930s Germany to today. I would really advise that people don't readily use that. First, Nazi is used all too often. It's been especially watered down these days. So it's kind of a meaningless insult buzzword. But more importantly, what we're dealing with is it's more insidious than that. It deserves its own name. What would I call it? I would call it Neroism. Not Nazism, Neroism. Why do I say Nero? I, of course, refer to the old Roman Emperor Nero, who quite famously was a tyrant, was hugely corrupt, and the people thought him very popular. There were some Romans even back then during his heyday when he died. Some people thought he faked his own death. And he is talked about as he's theorized to be one of the wounded beasts in the Bible whose wounds heal and they're a miracle to look at. That kind of thing. Mr. Shadyo says one of the most crazy things hearing about America, other than the private medical and college and the money you need to afford them, is that you have to calculate your own takes. Oh, your own taxes. Yes, taxes. X instead of K there. Like every person, even if it's working as a contractor or employed, yes. Uncle Sam takes a tax every year and or makes most people pay to have their taxes filed. So they get like a tax consultant, and that consultant will ask a bunch of questions, fill out the legal forms based on the information you give them, and then file your taxes for you. But if you make over a certain amount, then you have to file for taxes. And you can fill out the tax forms on your own. Some people have no choice but to do that. But it is very tedious to do, and if you make a mistake on taxes, depending on what the mistake is, it could be punishable by additional fines, prison time, all that fun stuff. So it's just not worth it to do the taxes on your own unless you know what you're doing. Hyrule Ridge Chasm. Oh, I know where that is. That's like up here. That took me a second. Right there. Trying to do this left-handed really sucks, by the way. Mr. Jason says, by the way, Mr. Coin, it takes passing a massively high threshold to make you angry. I have hair trigger anger, so I wouldn't know. But someone that you know of is getting pretty close. You have a friend who's trying to save up for something with a fund, and they have a friend from America that has also had something they were saving up for, and they were more or less diverting people that would have potentially funded your friend's fund, and then went radio silent. And you said, "Hey, what about assisting your friend's name with their fund now?" And it made me feel like they were one of those "I'm the most important Americans," and those are the types that grind your gears. Ah, yes, the classic financial ghost. That is what that American is very guilty of. It's stealing on multiple levels. It's really stinky. But yes, to go back to Mr. Shadio's statement, that is, it is very, very tedious. Like I said, a lot of people pay $200, $300, $500 just to pay more for taxes. And what do the 200, 300, and 500 numbers represent? Oh, that's easy. It represents the amount of money that you need to either go through a tax consultancy company, or, you know, my dad and his wife, you know, they have a separate consultant that they talk to instead, and they pay her rates on doing the tax paperwork. And it varies by state. The amount or threshold you need before you have to go file for taxes in your state here in the US differs between states. It's not a federal thing, it's a state thing, and the federal just piggybacks off of the state filing process. For in South Carolina, it's the state I'm most familiar with. If you make as little as $336 in a year, you have to file taxes, which is like, that's well below poverty line, or that is well below the official state poverty line. South Carolina really wants your tax money. Some places like California, that threshold's like closer to like 1,000 or 500, but California has like they have like a somewhat inflated economy over there, so you can get $500 pretty darn easily. It's really crappy. I understand the need for taxes, but if no one can agree on what they want to pay for taxes, then taxes become theft. If the nation cannot agree on what they want to pay for in terms of funds, then the amount of taxes people should be taking in is zero. The government should not be taking taxes for that. And instead, there should be community initiatives led in order to A, uncommodify the roads, bridges, and so on, and B, there should be, those same efforts should be there for actually maintaining those roads and bridges. Unfortunately, that runs into the complication of what I call the libertarian model, which is, let the individual handle that, but most individuals are fine with, worn down dirt roads and don't actually care for paving roads at all. They would actually just let those roads decay. They either don't see the value or don't feel the need to utilize them for whatever reason. Or people will minimize the amount of dependence they need to rely, or amount of dependence on those things in the first place, so it's less of a hassle. That's just how we Americans are. We can be especially lazy as a collective. If people are wondering what I'm doing, I am attempting to find a chasm. It's right there. It's not working too great because I'm trying to lock in and engage in active conversation at the same time. Skull Lake Chasm, I know where that is. That's literally... Wait, have I never been through that? We have found... Oh boy, we have found a place that we have not been in yet. Finally, some action. Now we're sitting here and talking about countries and nations and all of that. I want us as a community to remember that we're human first. We're separated by border, but we're human first. And we should take care not to bring our prejudices that we might harbor against, you know, other kin of country, you know, against anyone else, whether you're American, Russian, Romanian, Ethiopian, Hungarian, Czech, you know, Venezuelan, Japanese, it doesn't matter. We're all human. And that is what should come first. We should not ignore differences of color and culture, but they should not prevent us from loving and being kind to our fellow human being. Because I think if we truly did remember that more often, you know, maybe there would be less global conflict than there is today. Mr. Gordo Goku says another 4.04%. Woohoo! Thank you. Thank you. I thought I would have dove through this chasm at some point, but I guess that just never happened. It's fine. We'll make it work. Just dive over a little bit and into the depths. Yep, see right there? I'm gonna take a picture and show it right here. If you are wanting to know how to get confirmation for when something has counted toward your map completion percentage, if you do not see this discovery text up here, where my pointer is, if you do not see that, it does not count. You have to actually see that. I just wanted to make sure I pointed that out directly because, you know, if you go a long time playing this game, you might not see that text for a while. That is what you were looking for. Oh, and it goes right into the House of Bones. Be aware. This one right here, this chasm, yeah. This one goes, this is quick access to a Stalnox. We're gonna get out of here though, and go back up here. Mr. Shadio says, still it's weird that taxes are so complicated. It's by design. It's so that tax consultants actually have a job. And B, I'm getting into conspiracy theory territory, so, you know, please don't take my words as, like, the official government stance or the official countryman's stance on anything. But I think the nebulousness of the taxes is by design, and it's set up so that you pay out more when you screw up. It's like a really, really hurtful thing to say about one's country, but I genuinely believe that so many legal pitfalls are just by design to entrap people. I do really think that. In Romania, you just pay for the house, car, etc., basically what you own. You know how much to pay and all that. In Germany, for example, father being a contractor has to do taxes. He has an accountant for that, but he just sends her his bills and what he bought work-related, and that's it. Then the taxes come as a letter that says, you have to pay that amount until this date. Yeah. In America, you can set things up that way. Mr. Gordo Goku says, gotta go, my son wants some new movies from the library, and you have a Switch game. You have a great rest of your day and stream. I hope you find everything you need. Thank you so much, Mr. Gordo Goku, for your company. And your help has been much appreciated today. You taught me one or two things, which I always enjoy. It was good to see you, good sir. Do rest well, my lovely senator, and I do hope to see you sooner rather than later. But if I don't see you again, for whatever reason, You know, I hope you do stay safe and take care of yourself out there, and enjoy the movies from the library. And you too, have a great weekend, Mr. Gorda Goku. Mr. Jason says, in the UK, taxes are taken when you get paid. Super easy, super simple. Yeah, America does this sometimes. Like, there's a tax taken when you purchase things. There's a tax taken. The thing is, like, income tax, right? Income tax, property tax, things that you don't interface with daily, but you make payments on because it's stuff you own, or it's the amount of money you make a year. Like your W-2, or I guess here in the States, it's like a W-2 pay stub, or you know, a W-1098T, or I'm sorry, 1098T, or some other forms. Stuff you don't interface with every day, and the government doesn't collect money on every day. Except for income tax. They take that every month. But if you have seasonal work, or you're a contractor, yeah, you've got to, if you're like an official, like on the table contractor, then you know you pay. If you're based on clients, you have to keep a copy of every bill you make, and you can set it up that you turn that stuff into your tax consultant, but otherwise you're responsible for filing. Mr. Jason says, in the UK it's called pay as you earn. It's the UK system where your employer deducts income tax and national insurance contributions directly from your wages or pension before you receive them, sending the money to HMRC. We had something for that when it comes to student financial debt, or like college related debt in the US, called the pay system, but that has been fully shut down. Thank you to the current administration for that, where you could pay off debt. You could pay off debt as you earn money. Yuckity yuck yuck. That's what I got to say about that. Mr. Tension and Mr. BC West 2011, welcome into both of you on the red and purple apps, respectively. Good to see both of you. I hope you both are doing well in both body and mind, and I do hope you both enjoy your stay. You both have come in at a rather interesting time, or if maybe slightly boorish. We are at the part of the game where we are verifying all possibly 1,235 different locations in Tears of the Kingdom, you know, pending rewrite of my worksheet and everything. And as we double check things that have to be crossed off, we may ultimately find there are a lot less locations. So today is largely an AMA day. It's going to be us staring at a map, you know, with me flitting around from place to place, seeing if I have it on the map or not. You know, so if you want to ask me things, ask me anything, feel free. You know, just don't violate terms of service. Don't be an ist. Don't be a phobe. All of the usual Twitch and YouTuber or YouTube disclaimer things. That's it. That's all. Hopefully you two have wonderful weekend plans lined up, and I do hope your weekend goes rather smoothly for you. Mr. Shadio says, or I'm sorry, Mr. BC West says, how's my day? Boring but busy is what I would say, thanks to all this. Mr. Shadio says, same for the guns for us. For Manian, it's weird. As a civilian, you could only have a gun that shoots rubber bullets. It's still lethal, but not that lethal. Yeah, and not enough to penetrate a Kevlar vest, basically. And if you're at home, you're told you have to keep it in a safe at all times. That is, other than the bullets, those are like generally good, you know, safety procedures here in the States. Unfortunately, not everyone follows them. And at home, you have to have them in a safe at all times. Someone told you that you can legally go with it on the street. Yeah, concealed carry. But you have to keep the gun in a pocket. Yeah, like a holster. Yep. And the clip, you think it's the word in English, like the thing that has the bullets in another pocket. Yeah, you're not allowed. That sounds correct. You're not allowed to have the gun loaded if you go out on carry. You need to have the clips and gun in separate pockets. It's so that law enforcement can, tackle you and confiscate those things before there's an altercation, etc., etc. That is weird, but that concealed carry kind of works like that here in the States too. Some states are looser than others on that. Same in Romania or Germany, you're employed somewhere. Oh, that's in regard to that. Mr. Shadia says, only if you're a contractor do you have to make them yourself in some degree. Yes, because you are your own employer, right? So, unless you go and, get a consultant, you are responsible for making your own pay stubs. Yuck. Mr. Tension says, Mr. Coin, you're halfway through Zelda 2. Which part is Death Mountain? I believe it is on the southeast of the, big map. Hang on a second and I can get that to you. Yes. Okay. I will, I know the corresponding place to go find that. Don't click on that if you don't want to spoil yourself, honestly. But, Death Mountain is in the, southeastern corner. A lot. Or, way down southeast. You'll know because you'll see a bunch of openings into, the edge of the map that kind of they should make no sense to you if you have no context for them. Yeah, that is Death Mountain. There may or may not be a map label as well. You're very welcome, Mr. Tension, anytime. Mr. Jason says, you see, Mr. Coin, you're not going to sugarcoat it. I hope I have not missed one in the meantime. But you're well aware of how... but I'm well aware of how you are, especially in the TCC. You need to have a high threshold before you get mad at someone because you tend to go nuclear. Ain't that the truth? I know what that kind of anger is like. I've experienced it firsthand. I've meted it out firsthand. Mr. Jason says, especially in the TCC, if anything happens that detracts from the vision and throws a wrench into the works, you're stepping back because you have me and Miss Carly and don't want to burn bridges. Right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I would describe my anger as being very hair trigger, where I have a sufficiently high threshold before I get mad, but at the same time, once I am there, it's it's a switch. It's either on or it's off. It's very quick. I've confirmed both of those. Nice. Both the Birida and the Yiga clan hideout chasms are in the same place, which is good. This one is down here. I know for sure we've been through the Deku Tree chasm, but I'll confirm that here. You have to go down there to, begin your journey toward the Master Sword. Mr. Tension says, okay, thumbs up, very well. Mr. Shadio says, same for you. You're an extremely unpleasant person when you're really mad. Yeah, I like to make my anger as uncomfortable to deal with as humanly possible, so people know right away that if once that threshold is crossed, they never cross it again unless they are intentionally crossing it. Mr. Jason says there's no point in you burning bridges, but people stopping us three from fulfilling our desires to make something that we all admire is a big no-no. Too true. Too true. Tobio's Hollow. We have definitely got that chasm. That's way over here. Thank you, Quest, for that. Thank you, the Sage, for that. Great Plateau. There are 4 chasms. North. East. South. And west. Confirmed. South Lome would be right here. Gerudo Summit would be here. As a reminder, because it's been a couple of hours, because we're confirming a lot of map locations today, I have to do a lot of tabbing and a lot of staring at other screens other than my usual chat docs. So I can still hear when you guys post messages, but it may take me a second or a minute or two to get to all of them. Just putting that out there. Just so people are like, why isn't he responding? Now you know. It's because I probably have not gotten back to being able to read your message to respond to it. Mr. Tension says, as long as you upgrade everything in Zelda 2, it's not that hard, Mr. Coin. Oh, yeah, absolutely. If you do what you're supposed to do in Zelda 2, it's not... It's tedious. It's less that it's difficult and more that Death Mountain is tedious. But most people get to Death Mountain in Zelda 2 without, without doing those things. And so it's a very annoying experience. Meta Mountain? Where's that? Where would Meta Mountain be? Is that like over here? Yeah, okay, there it is. That's where it is. Hyrule Castle Chasm. I definitely know we've been in there. Right there. Hyrule Castle Moat. This is west. And that's east. Yep, both of those are done. Lake Hylia Chasm is down there. Let's see. Mr. Jason says, you care about everyone in the TCC, especially our clients, but hierarchically speaking, your sole duty of care is to the president, vice president, and corporate secretary, or other members of the executive as we receive them, of course. Your duty of care is to the board. The chief executive officer's duty of care is to the C-suite, and the branch president and vice president's duty of care is to their individual staff. Absolutely. Mr. Shadner says, also unrelated, you found out you may have ADHD, and it's funny because a lot of times you wondered how ADHD people brain works, not knowing that you may be one of them. Yes, I know that distinction. I fear I may have undiagnosed ADD, and, well, I've often wondered about how, how one of those brains might work when maybe the whole time I might possibly have had it. But I won't know without proper diagnosis, and that can't happen until I've crossed a lot of other bridges. As a clarification, you go on to say, it's just you realized you also have a lot of symptoms. Yeah, I'm starting to notice things, too, that I didn't notice before about myself. And a friend told you that he sees a lot of them in you. You don't have a clinical diagnosis to support that. That's fair. That's fair. Mr. Tension says, yeah, that's why then, Mr. Coin, you can't really rush through a Zelda game. Too true, good sir. Too true. You beat so many of them, you know the mechanics now. Yeah, and you could spot what the precursor mechanics look like too, can't you? You know, perhaps what the more subtle intentions are behind what the devs were thinking in earlier Zelda titles. How they might have wanted to carry them forward, in spite of the limitations of the console at the time. Mr. Jason says, as it is unrealistically impossible, especially with the theming that you're going for an executive chair to be checking in with a client rep, those two ranks won't ever really meet. Right. But, well, we're doing a lot of meeting with them now, but, once we get all of our stuff with the TCC situated, that should come to a close. Hyrule Field Chasm is, like, over here. Yep. Elma Knolls is over. No, Elma is up here. Yeah, there's that chasm. East Hill. East Hill. What is East Hill? Ah, that's over here. Luckily, I have the internal name, too, I can refer to. Minchie Woods Chasm. That's back up north. As soon as I can get my eyeball on it. Yep, there's that chasm all done. BRB, very well, Mr. Shadio. Take your time. Mr. Jason says our current client representative manager is doing fantastic, though. Absolutely. Yeah, Mr. Coin says, Mr. Tension. Good. I'm glad to. I'm glad I had that, paired out or parsed out about you. Mr. Jason says, shame about the previous one, though. Too true. Shame about the previous one, but spilt milk. No use crying about it. All that's left to do is to move on to the new glass of milk, right? And not think about the previous glass too much. Lome Labyrinth. That's gonna be... That's this, isn't it? Yeah, there's that. And there's the chasm. South Akala Plains Chasm. That's here, right? Yeah. Drennan Highlands. Where the heck is that? Deep Hole Riramuku Mountain. Highlands. Hold on, this might take me a second to parse. I should be putting hyperlinks in these. I'm looking for one of the chasm holes, but I may not have it as the issue. Hyrule Ridge. That feels like it's up here somewhere in these highlands. Nope, we've already been there. Ooh, is that one we don't have? That's the Hills of Bomber. Let me double check chat. Too true, but good sir. Oh no, oh no. I didn't mean to kill the soundboard for this. Hang on, Mr. Shiny. Let me fix that. But that said, it is good to see you. I believe it is this button. There we go. Sorry, that must have been mashed again. I'm so sorry about that. Good to see you, good sir, Mr. Shiny. I do hope you're doing well in body and mind, and I hope you enjoy your stay, although the stay will definitely not be that interesting. You've caught us verifying all 1,200 plus locations in Tears of the Kingdom, so most of today's stream is going to be us staring at this map and occasionally going somewhere we haven't been before.
Sex.
Thank you for the redemption, Mr. Shiny. And have a second one on the house for free.
Sex.
Followed by a...
Oh, a tree. Grant me suck.
Ah, I needed that. Just something different besides ambient piano to listen to. Now, back to finding these stinky highland chasms. I have no idea where this one is. Although I'm sure I must have been in it. Maybe, possibly. Where are the Drennan Highlands? I feel like I'm going ape trying to find this. That's the dangerous snow shelf. Mr. Jason, or I'm sorry, Mr. Shiny says, you feel great? I'm glad to hear it, good sir. Mr. Jason says the most important thing with the TCC is that we have the nothing personal policy. We're not here to upset anyone. In fact, we want to make as many people happy as possible, but you won't hesitate to giving people a talking to, no matter what level they are. You'll still be friends with the said person outside of TCC, and depending on their rank, it would be more difficult to remove them. Like in a real company, the higher that someone is, the harder it is to get rid of them. Of course! Mr. Shiny says you're joining right after defeating the Hollow Knight's final boss. Nice. Congratulations to you, good sir. Okay, I might need to look this up. And I have a handy-dandy object map just for it. You hear that off in the distance, my senators and inductees? That is an ad storm. In about 5 minutes, it'll blow over us, and then we can get right back to the gaming. Thanks. I really appreciate everyone's time that they've spent here. It means the world to me. It would also mean the world if you could electrify my algorithm by following my Twitch channel, subscribing to my YouTube channel, liking the video and or streams on YouTube, and even leaving a comment. Doing all of those things ensures that when I zap your feeds with a live or a long-form content notification, you don't have to worry about missing any quality content. Thank you guys for sitting through that stuffy, boring stuff. I really appreciate it. You guys have been wonderful company today. You know, even in spite of what will probably be a couple of boring streams of this, it's just gotta happen. We're at the end of the game where we're trying to demo everything, but I'm hoping I can make this as painless as possible for you. Because after today, I do intend on putting up my worksheet. Putting up the worksheet for you guys to, you know, use for yourselves if you want to, you know, follow through and use all these locations. For I want to make sure you guys have that. That said, we do take commercial breaks around here at the top of each and every hour. You know, the final one for the day will be coming up in the next 3 minutes, roughly. When that happens, there will be a little timer above my head in the upper left-hand corner of the stream, in front of the video, or in the video display, I should say. That timer will read 3 minutes and 0 seconds. During that time, when that time comes, I will be getting up and getting a stretch and doing other things during the commercial break, and I highly recommend you guys do the same. Regardless of how you choose to spend your time, though, whether you're doing the same thing or you're finding something else to pass the time with, once that timer does read 0 minutes and 0 seconds, I will have returned, and we can pick right up where we left off, which in today's case is more of this. Maybe perhaps to everyone's chagrin. But with that said, let's finish catching up on chat, and then we'll keep moving. I wanted to make sure I left this here so that people can see it, because I realized I zoomed here during the advertisement. Mr. Jason says, for example, removing me and Miss Carly would be shooting yourself in the foot, so you couldn't do what you both have done for us so far. I appreciate that, and you look forward to you both improving your TCC in the future. Well, it'll always be yours, good sir. But yeah, now Mr. Jason goes on to say, now, of course, it does evidently mean that most of the work is yours and Carly's, but it is for you to do with how you wish. I will bear those words in mind, Mr. Jason. Thank you. Mr. Shadio says, back, put some meat in the air fryer. Sounds good. I have no idea what I'm having for dinner today. I just printed out a new menu printout for my folks here at the house. Oh, it's a nice printout. I can show you guys. It's a little peek into my personal life, I suppose. I can, I can make sure people can view it. look at that if you want to, or don't. I'm not compelling anyone to do anything. But I made this little menu sheet because we often don't have sometimes we won't use all the menu item. What, when a recipe comes up, sometimes we'll forget the green beans, or we'll forget to get the garlic knots or something like that. So this particular menu sheet I've drafted has a place for my family to write that, which I think is really cool, and I hope it'll get some use. Also, there's more writing involved, but all of that is good. We'll have to finish chatting after the commercial break. See you guys then. Sorry about that, everybody. I am back. Hopefully we all got something out of our commercial break, even if it was just, waiting for it to end. Let me catch up on messages, and then we'll try to, get this watching paint dry the stream, drying a little faster. How about that? Let's see. Meat in the air fryer sounds good. Mr. Jason says, I mean, it is basically ours, all three. I appreciate that. Mr. Shiny says, all good, Mr. Coin. You'll be trying a new game while watching the stream? Very well. What game, if and you don't mind my asking? And if and you do, no worries. But I'm always curious as to what people are deciding to play or play along with while watching. Mr. Jason says, in any way, our internal policy of any board members being able to challenge the presidency for their roles keeps things interesting. Understandable. Mr. Shadyo says, your folks bought an air fryer and you kind of live in their kitchen. That the air fryer is very convenient for you. I know. My folks also have an air fryer. I don't live in their kitchen, but their air fryer is very convenient. You just buy the meat that's already spiced and ready to go in the air fryer. Spiced meat sounds delicious. And it turns out I'm having breakfast for dinner, which here in the southeastern United States means eggs, grits. I know, the grits, the the rather famous thing in which Miss Carly, thought it was mashed potatoes. That will never not. I will not find that funny or unfunny at any point in my life. Grits being mashed potatoes is just that tickled me pink. I'm sorry. But eggs, grits, bacon, all that fun stuff. It's not often I get breakfast for dinner. Welcome on in, Mr. Fent. I'm sorry I couldn't catch you during the commercial break. While the commercial break was happening. Good to see you. I do hope you're doing well in body and mind, and I hope you enjoy your stay. Mr. Fent says, Mr. Coin is the best ever. Best man ever. Thank you. I appreciate that. Mr. Jason says, welcome back, Mr. Coin. On a seriously important note, did you know that the TCC is also yours and Carly as well? You want to make that crystal clear. Good, sir. Yeah, sure, you're the founder, and that does give me the most power and authority. You could remove me or Carly in a moment's notice, but both of you have more than proven yourselves capable of running the business. Fair enough. Fair enough. I'll try to remember that. Mr. Shiny says, Monster Hunter Rise? Nice. A man of culture. I do enjoy Monster Hunter. Unfortunately, the only Monster Hunter I was ever able to play was Monster Hunter Tri for the 3DS. And, I didn't like staring down at the 3DS screen, even though I did think the system was really cool. I could seriously get behind the combat system in that game. It's fun. I even got a chance to play a little bit of... Was it Monster Hunter World? I forget which one it was exactly. It was like a PS3, PS4 thing. But I had a friend who was here in the States at the time. When we were both going to the same community college. He invited me and my sibling over to his house, and he showed off the Monster Hunter World, and or whatever Monster Hunter it was, I forget. But that too was also fun. Mr. Fent has a question. Okay, Mr. Fent, what is your question? If you don't mind my asking. Eventide Isle is the next one while we keep things moving, and we do in fact have that chasm, so we are good to go there. The Hills of Bomber we have seen several times, but I'll flash over it. That is over here. But if we never actually been on these hills properly, that might merit a trip, actually, now that I'm thinking on it. Mr. Fent says a dumb question. No question is dumb until you ask it. And then after that, the question itself isn't dumb, only the premise on which the question is based is dumb. But continue. Ask away. Mr. Jason says, you and Carly are better than me anyway. No. Not true at all. Please don't say that, Mr. Jason. You're the show my badge guy, and that's just how you are. So that's why you have you and Miss Carly, so that you don't end up wrecking things. No. I can often be the show my badge type myself. And none of this would exist. The jokes and pun counter wouldn't exist without you. Not only that, but there are so many other things I could point to. The Shurjans, the including the emotes, even the placeholder emotes, which I promise I will get real ones for those soon, fingers crossed. A coin tent. There are so many small little things that I realize kind of blip under the radar at times, but because they're small, they are small things. But it's the personal little humorous touches that I find funny. You are a fairly comically gifted person, Mr. Jason. You are not only the show my batch guy. You have more to you than that. So please don't compare yourself to other people. That's such an comparing to people. We all do it. I do it. My sibling does it. My dad does it sometimes, although not often. Or we all have a tendency to compare ourselves to other people, but at the end of the day, it is worth knowing or worth realizing that perhaps we're all unique and points of comparison are really hard to make. Mr. Jason says, "Oh no, you weren't doing that. Not at all." When I see the words "better than me," and then there's like a list of statements that follow where there are comparisons, that is my natural inclination. It is to say, "Oh, you're comparing yourself to me directly," which is not really a good thing to do. It's not good for your own mental health to do that. Mr. Jason says, what you're saying is with your role in the TCC, you don't have the time or patience to be dealing with things that perhaps you and Carly have more leeway over. Ah, okay. So it is a contrasting of personal qualities. That I understand that. Understandable. We all have our strengths. Absolutely. Miss Carly is 100% correct. We all have our strengths. We all have our weaknesses, and it's up to other people to help us shore our own weaknesses if we cannot shore them ourselves. Not much to say other than that. Mr. Jason says, you step back because you are, if it's an issue, get rid. Yeah, I mean, sometimes that approach is necessary. Sometimes that approach is necessary. And then other times, before that approach is necessary, burning bridges or just totally get rid of something maybe that approach isn't necessary. Day of Village Ruins. Oh, did I? Okay. I guess I need to keep walking around. Let me also double check the object map for if there's a title here, because there may not be. There is actually no title here at all. Okay. Just walk up here just to be sure. Let me get to the top of the mountain then and just see. Because that's probably up here. Let me also get a bladed implement real quick. Wow, everything and its mother wants me dead. I'll just let Unovo kill it. That is a nice thing about having avatar helpers. Let's see. Mr. Jason says, indeed, you've actually only ever used that approach with the previous client representative manager. Understandable, of course. Mr. Fent says, maybe, can we call each other? Yes, it is a stupid question. I usually don't take Discord calls on stream. Now, we could call each other, but I certainly don't engage with that. Also, I would highly encourage you, Mr. Fent, probably to not make random Discord calls with people that, or even other kinds of calls with people you don't know. And I know, with as open as I am to the public, that people think they know me. I promise you, you don't. I am at most an internet friend, and at worst, I'm an internet stranger. Trust me, I know I know that for those that have parents that are watching, hearing that is like hearing a heart attack on, like hearing someone have a heart attack on air. It can trigger people to have heart attacks. Yeah, don't participate in Discord calls with strangers. Just, it's not good practice. Even voice calls could be problematic. Mr. Fence says, no, you're not a stranger. You're Mr. Coin. You're correct. I'm Mr. Coin, a stranger to you. You might know my name, but you do not know me, the person. You know, I'd like to think I'm being true to myself on air, but there are definitely parts of me I would never show to the public. Everyone has a part of themselves they wouldn't show to the public. There are things you don't talk about in, closed spaces. And Miss Carly, you're absolutely correct. The thing I'm looking for is parasocial. Like, what we all have here is a parasocial relationship with me. What you know of me is what you know of me on the surface. And to put it logically, maybe that's the image I want you to see. I want people to sincerely think about that. This could be an entire front. Now, I would also then turn around and argue that I'm really not fronting. I am being a genuine person, but what I'm trying to explain is very complicated, and I'm not sure a lot of children or people that aren't adults would not get. That, like, they would struggle to understand that, like, specific nuance, if not shown clear, concrete examples. Mr. Jason says that is true what you said about yourself, Mr. Coin, but you don't need to know more to be satisfied. I appreciate that. Like I said, I like to think I conduct myself with honesty, and that is to say, what I tell people on air is generally what I tell people off air. Specificity of words notwithstanding. But there are certain things I definitely don't talk about or just don't share. And it goes beyond the surface things of, oh, my birthday is yada, yada, yada. Or, I have a birthmark here or there or wherever. It goes beyond the small details and gets very much into, it either jumps into the realm of personally identifiable information, or these are just things I would never share in a public forum because they're not things that belong in a public forum. That kind of thing. Mr. Fence says, my name is Mel. Oh, that's fine. What I want you to be aware of, Mr. Fent, is that the internet is a dangerous place. It won't... Bad things can happen. Bad things can happen to everyone, good or bad, on the internet. And I don't want you to hurt yourself by not making the appropriate by not taking care of yourself and protecting yourself on the internet. And that means not being open with people. Not totally. Mr. Jason says, I mean, heck, Carly is a best friend of yours, and even she didn't get your birthday until recently. You're extra selective, of course. And I say all this to say no one is immune to feeling the effects of a parasocial relationship. The difference is I like to think that I generally exhibit enough self-awareness as a content creator to know that I am capable of making people feel safer than they actually are on the internet. And that can be a problem. I never want people to, drop their guard in a place where it is unsafe for them to do so. And the internet is not a safe place. It is a dangerous place where people can dox you at the blink of an eye, and perhaps even unwittingly or unwillingly do that. I just don't want people to experience it. Mr. Fent says, where's Mr. Case? I have no idea. You'd have to ask his friend, Mr. Suit.
Sure, Jan.
Mr. Jason says some people just can't comprehend how dangerous the internet can be, or people are too young and don't have such an abstract concept of different layers of relationships. Like, some people don't have that schema solidified yet. For example, Mr. Coin, go on. And while that's happening, we can lock the heck in and get a few more of these chasms, properly verified on the checklist. North Lomé chasm. Well, I know we've been there. Nadra Snowfield chasm. We saw this multiple times. Right there. Forest of Time chasm. Wait, Forest of Time? Oh, that's this one here. Okay, I was worried. Like, wait, what? Chasm under Zora's domain. I know we've been there. Oh, was that all of them? Yeah, there was apparently only a single chasm we haven't actually found. And it's one that I thought I had under lock and key the whole time. Mr. Jason says, when Carly got her capture card, she shared a photo with you that had some confidential information you won't say. Absolutely. But you, just as you do, just let her know to be extra careful with sending photos. Things are safe with you, but you know all too well about dangers. Precisely. I can cite a similar experience about you mentioned you showed a package of something you had ordered months ago, and it had a serial number on it. And I told you maybe you should consider either blanking that or getting rid of the photo or something along those lines. You might not think that a serial number could be personally identifiable information, PID. You might not think it would be a PID, but it is. Because a deranged lunatic can take that serial number, trace it back to the company in which to the companies that handled, processed, and put together your packaging, and then trace that to you. Because detection software and spyware is really good at that. Mr. Jason says, true, and this just adds to how much of a good circle we are. I try to make good decisions when it comes to other people. I am not always the most effective at it, but I do try to act with other people's interests in mind. As I have often heard talked about from other people, and I follow this mantra myself. You don't want to say you're good, or say that you're a good person. We all like to think we're good people. It is better to show that you have a good nature. And you do that by thinking of other people first. You do that by prioritizing their safety. You do that by showing them that their trust is not something to be, lightly handled. That type of thing. You show it. You don't say it. Because if you say it, all it takes is one teeny tiny little thing, no matter what reason there may be behind it, all it takes is one thing, and suddenly this image you've built up of being a good person is shattered. And you can't reclaim that. You can't rebuild it. You will always have that little reputational chip on your shoulder, and people will point to it, pick at it, open the scab, reopen the wound until it consumes. So you always want to demonstrate the goodness that you have and let other people say it and not claim it yourself. But that's just personal wisdom I have learned over the years. Mr. Jason says, as for that picture you mentioned, good sir, that was a picture from a listing from eBay and not yours personally. Right. But you agree, the one with the PID. Exactly. Exactly. And even if it's not your PID, or as you've said, it's someone else's PID. And we should be just as careful with that too. Okay. Next sections on the map checklist are Dragon's Tears. Guess what? I can click those off. I should have done this earlier. That's 13 spots we didn't need to deal with, because we already handled them by virtue of doing everything else. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm counting the number, not specifying which ones. I lost count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 tiers. There are 12 tiers. It's 12 more right on that list. And so far, we've run through... We still have 779 entries left to verify, and we started out with 300 today. So we have verified 156 entries, and I think that's pretty good progress. Mr. Jason says, but yes, good sir, you and Miss Carly are considered more or less your equals in the TCC. The only ability that you have that we don't is the one that can remove myself and Miss Carly, of course. Of course, that just makes too much sense as, you know, someone who founded the TCC and is an active founder. You didn't pull a Bill Gates. You did not sell the company. You are in fact still in charge of it. Still in charge of the company, or however you'd like to put it, really, Mr. Executive Chair. Okay, general stores. Let me get back to this. There's the one in base camp. Oh, and that is its internal name. If we didn't think it was a base camp before, it is definitely a base camp now. It is the general store. Oh, what the heck? Did the capture card just freeze? It did. It did freeze. Let me actually deactivate it for a minute. There we go. I thought that was my headset getting buggy, but no, that was actually just the capture card crapping out, which was unfortunate. That's pretty rare. Or I should say, it has been relatively rare as of late, which is good. Let's see, Gerudo General Store. There's 5 of them. Interesting. There are 5 location markers, but only 1 listing. I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, we have all 5. Get rid of that. Those really should kind of be their own separate entry, because otherwise it's kind of a fib, but whatever. see, Goron. Oh, I guess while I'm here, we should verify the Oasis shop as well. 1, 2, 3 general stores in Oasis. Yeah, I'll need to go through and actually get all these individual location markers, figure out what their internal names are. Because otherwise that, you know, the count isn't accurate. Let's see, Goron, that's up here. 1 general store. Mr. Jason says, at 4:59 p.m. TCC time, anything on your desk? Not interested. See you in the office at 9 a.m. sharp. You know, you're known to be a stickler for time. I used to be one. I mean, I still am. I like to be prompt and, you know, I like to be on time. It really, it's not the on time part. It's always, you know, closing hours. With my Discord and my communities as a content creator, as well as, you know, the fact that I do contract work essentially, for a living, the fact that I do that means, means that my hours are never really closed. My hours are always, when did someone last message me? How long do I have before the message is considered too stale? So my office is usually open, but if I'm sleeping, leave a post-it note. Do something. Let me know you've been there. That kind of thing. I can't really have mechanisms to close the office, as it were. The Tenno has just the 1 general store. And that's right here. Perfect. Kakariko has 2 general stores. Oh, they're counting the grocer and the archery store as general stores? That's weird. That should be specified. But I guess I have to count them. There's the general store that I know we've been to. Right there for the Koroks. Same is true of the Rito. There's that general store. Yumi Village. Wait, what? An Uatori? Right, yeah, some of these use internal names. Mr. Jason says, if you weren't terrible at building at Minecraft, you would have loved to make a modern style building that would represent the TCC in all of its departments. You just got to get blueprints. You got to practice building. Mainly, when I used to play Minecraft, and I did used to play it regularly with old raid mates, as well as my tabletop group friends, my biggest issue would always be dimensions. I would think that I had something perfectly distributed evenly, and then it turns out I never did. I was actually 1 row off at all times, or 1 column off. So it would always bug me. And being able to Yumi Village. Oh, is that Lurlin? Yeah, that's Lurlin Village. Why not? That's an interesting internal name. I wonder if that's like Romanized Japanese. Mr. Jason says, "Oh, don't get me started on symmetry." That's a yikes. I can handle symmetry pretty well. But I have to have the dimensions right first. Again, if the dimensions are off in Minecraft, you are not doing symmetry anything. And also, you cannot do symmetry because in Minecraft, like anytime you have like a 2x4 or a 4x4, like a square space, you cannot you cannot build or make things symmetrical on the seams. So like if you had like a 2x2 grid, you know, you could separate that fine on a piece of paper. You just cut the grids in half, right? But you can't build anything in Minecraft on the grids themselves. So when you're doing things by symmetry, you need to have an odd number of rows and columns for whatever you're making. So that when you go to separate it, it is separated evenly. You cannot separate evens in Minecraft. It is probably a good rule I would use. You cannot separate an even quantity of anything in terms of physical space in Minecraft, or you will have you won't be able to, it will be lopsided if you do that. Mr. Jason says, did you say Squarespace, Mr. Coin? If only there was a website that allowed you to make a website with zero knowledge of coding skills. Ah, yes, the quadrilateral area. I've not forgotten that little one. That I can assure you. That I am giving myself an applause for. Followed by...
It's against the law.
Sure, Jan.
I'm not counting that. But I am proud of myself. That is a crowning, like, statement right there. A quadrilateral area, or the rhombus room. I will never not find that funny. I'm pretty sure this is Lurelin Village that the internal name is like referring to, so I'm just gonna put it there. But now the one I don't know is Uatori. I do not know what that internal name is. It's not Base Camp. And it's not Kakariko. And there's only one listing for it. It's not Hateno either. And it's not Oasis, because Oasis has 3 of these. 3 general stores. So I'm really confused on what this internal name is. So that sounds like Google time to me. Mr. Jason says, you would absolutely make a website defining all the wonderful wording, such as tit for tat, jam jars, and frogs and toads. Ah, yes, hats, cars, and roads. I hate that I know this information. It is a plague in my brain space. If I seriously thought that, though, you know, we would have a whole different conversation. But honestly, it's just you know, a gentle bit of psychological torture is what I would say. Okay, let's see what this internal name is. Okay, so we're back to... So Uatori is apparently the internal name for Lurelin. So now we're back to not knowing what Yumi Village is. Which is really weird. That is a strange internal name, and it pops up several times in the worksheet, so I had better bloody know what this is. 1 second. Sorry, I'm having to stare at a lot of things to make sense of what this is. Mr. Jason says, you agree, Mr. Coin? If we were not friends, you can all to imagine a different conversation, good sir. With how much I respect you, I would cease saying them. So I'm glad that we are friends. Yeah. If I earnestly felt uncomfortable with the, Cockney rhyming slang, I will never, that will be etched into my mind forever. I would have, I would be honest enough to talk about that, but I'm okay. Mr. Jason says that we could have the same conversation within the TCC too, good sir, but with the extra red tape. Yay, red tape. Said hardly anyone ever.
Gee, this is uplifting.
Some people like bureaucratic red tape. I'm kind of indifferent to it. Mostly. I see it as necessary, and that's really about it. Yeah, so here are... What is Yumi Village? Well, if that's a Tenno, then we've got like a double counting. Which is like really weird. I think I'm gonna like... I'll have to look into this off camera because there's bound to be one of these that I have not. We've either not bumped into a village, which I don't think is the case, or one of these is a duplicate. And I need to remove them. I wonder if the object map would have these internal names. See, so shops, flag, placement, shop jewelry. So yeah, if I do it like this. Okay, so yeah, these are the dynamic params that I'm looking at. So we will find this Umi village and possibly some of these other names in just a minute. Oh, in fact, I could probably type the name now that I know how the dynamic param is labeled. Speaking of internal names, says Mr. Jason. Let me make sure I've not missed something on YouTube in the meantime, because I'm quite sure I might possibly have. Mr. Jason goes on to say, someone on Reddit said Corsair Bee Honey's model is Bee Home, which is cute, but makes it sadder now when you steal it. Oh, yeah, that's kind of unfortunate. You're stealing... I mean, anytime you harvest honey from, a beehive, you are, in fact... When we harvest stuff like that, we are in fact stealing stored food from that would have gone toward feeding larvae. There are a lot of things that humans get by, pilfering from the homes and hovels of the animals. Some people go vegan over hearing stuff like that, or vegetarian. But you gotta eat something, or you're gonna get eaten. You will perish, and then you will be consumed by the plants that you were consuming before. People can either, maybe somewhat rightly, freak out over what consumption of resources means, or we can understand that we're part of a cycle of life. We're born, we live, we consume a lot. And then we die, and our energy is reinvested where we die at, or where we're buried. The proteins break down. The starch seeps into the soil if it doesn't degrade, and it's absorbed by plants or fungus, or animals eat our carcass if they happen to find us, or if we die. And we go on to nourish the cycle of life. I realize that's a ghastly thing I'm talking about, but You know, we're human, we're animal. We're not outside the cycle of life. We exist within it. We just have some mastery over it. That's all. Mr. Shadio says, just so you know, Mr. Quinn, you're still here, but on lurking mode. No worries, Mr. Shadio. Do feel free to lurk at your convenience. Mr. Jason says you love how in some Zelda games that black rupees are called rupors. Yeah, those should have been a thing in Tears of the Kingdom as well. That would have been hilarious. This game is all about trolling and wasting time in some aspects, so why not troll and waste time here? Mr. Shadio says, what is the next game after you finish this one, Mr. Coin? I'm glad you asked. So the next game, not the one we're voting on, the next game that we're playing, because I realize what kind of audience I have and would like to give us a little more time together before we move on to the voted project, is going to be a mod ROM / ROM hack, The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. It's called The Ultimate Trial. It's, you know, I know there are lead authors, but I'm pretty sure there are over 17 mod authors or 21 mod authors that have contributed to the particular development of this ROM hack / mod ROM. Ranging from Kernel of Corn to CO, like people who have like either coded or worked with the spaghetti code of The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, or who have made custom models or that sort of thing. They all worked really hard to make the Ultimate Trial. And so I want to play that as a palate cleanser. It's to kind of basically describe what the Ultimate Trial is. It is basically a pit fighter. It has a pit fighter roguelike experience to it, but there's still a story. It's a fight gauntlet kind of game. I do look forward to demonstrating that. Mr. Shadio says, and which is the voted one? That would be the game coming up after that. So if we look on our, if you're in the, I think you should still be in my Discord, Mr. Shadio. On our server, if you look under the voting on content, under the voting category in Coinstamps Halls, and you look at a post from from July the 9th, 2025, there should be a posting by VoteBot that says next game after Tears of the Kingdom, and I list 10 options. One of those is Streamer's Choice. And Streamer's Choice is, well, whatever the heck I decide it is, right? That's the whole litmus of it. And I have decided what I would like to do with Streamer's Choice is to go back to Elden Ring Reforged challenge runs, return to those, and actually finish a bloody challenge run this time, instead of getting a DNF and then going on to do other things. I would like to actually have a challenge run under my belt. So the game you guys are voting on is essentially option number 3. So if you guys like Elden Ring, and you like modded Elden Ring, you will like what is coming next, because I'm going to be doing a deathless challenge run in that game. So I have to play the whole game without dying once. Of course, I might have to start with some routing and some practice just to kind of like get myself back into the swing of things, at least for baseline content. But that should be some fun. It's going to be a different environment. There's going to be a lot less, you know, me explaining how certain things are doing, and more of just the, here's me, this is what I'm doing. You know, I'll explain it if people ask, but otherwise we have some hot stuff on our plate to take off of our plate. What I'm doing is in the same vein as like deathless challenge runs in other games, or hitless challenge runs in other Soulsborne titles. I'm eventually trying to upgrade to hitless. And deathless is where I'm starting. Because Elden Ring is a complicated game. And it asks a lot of you. Never mind what the Reforged mod asks of a person in return. Mr. Jason says, if that OOT ROM was multiplayer and you joined me, you would be playing with mods? Too true, good sir. Too true. Also, Mr. Coin, on your friend Twilight Blitz's channel, you said that you were his mod of the year. I bet he gave you a pretty good laugh, or he quipped and agreed with you, huh? Mr. Shadyer says, yes, you are. Good. Then hopefully what I'm saying, you know, is verifiable to you. Originally, I was going to immediately move to Elden Ring Reforged once we were done, but, you know, 10 months counting is a long time to play games like these. And since then, I realized that whether I like it or not, I have cultivated somewhat of a Nintendo-oriented audience. And I don't want to just spit on that, but I also am at odds with Nintendo, and it is really hard for me to stream their games and talk positively about the development teams for games like these, while also keeping my opinion of Nintendo relatively solvent and neutral enough to, you know, if they see this, be counted for sponsorship or other things, which they would likely peruse my history and would never allow it in the first place. But even if that somehow did, having a sponsorship stripped from underneath you is devastating to content creators. That could literally be life or death. So it's just best if I don't put myself in compromising positions by having to operate against my own principles in the name of pragmatism. Mr. Jason says, you did some banter in someone else's channel and he came in to defend himself. He said, I might have to fire him on, but I knew he was joking because he completely agrees with me that you do most of the work on the channel. He just presses go live. I mean, hey, when you can do some bantery trash talk or like gentle poking at someone, you know, off stream, and they could come in and joke and laugh with you about that, you know you've cultivated a good relationship. At least I like to think so. And you're close to 100 stream streak in his channel. Too true. Too true. Okay, so let me actually find out what the name of this place is. Ah! Yumi Village is Terrytown. Wait, what? Why is that called Terrytown? Ah.
It's just asinine.
Miss Carly says you got to go, but thank you for the stream, Mr. Coin. No problem, Miss Carly. Thank you so much for stopping by. It was good to see you, as always. Do have a lovely, wonderful weekend, Miss Carly. I do hope to see you sooner rather than later, my lovely senator. But if I don't see you for whatever reason, and you know, life happens. Sometimes life drastically happens. Do rest well, stay safe, and take care of yourself out there, Miss Carly. And I sincerely do mean that. But do have a nice, pleasant weekend. Mr. Jason says, well, maybe you might be out and busy all day. Well, busy weekend. you were saying you were going to meet a friend tomorrow. It's the same friend you've been commenting about the Chinese on, the Chinese Milan, right? I haven't like misremembered something. How did it not like occur to me that this could be Terrytown? What a strange name. But okay, yeah, there is a general store there. Yeah, how about Uatori? I guess let's figure that out too. Okay, so Uatori is Lurlin Village, and Umi Village is Terrytown, which makes some sense. I mean, you do build a village, or you do help the village there. Okay, cool. I'm glad I remembered that correctly, Mr. Jason. My memory is definitely... Mr. Shadyo says, so why different names? So Yumi and Uotori are probably internal Japanese names, if I had to guess. Or, you know, just internal names anyway. And so when they got translated, they needed a real name. And it's probably a leftover name from Breath of the Wild. Because you build Terrytown in Breath of the Wild. And it was probably called Yumi Village back then, because you and me both have to work on it to make it a reality. I could just see that little naming mnemonic now. And Uotori is probably Japanese for like sea village or something, or village out by the coast, because Umi, I know Umi is like Japanese for sea. But I do not know what the tori is. That could be village, could be town, or like a city. It could be... I think that tends to be... I don't know my Japanese. I'm guessing based what I've seen on, you know, Konami products where things tend to be in Romanized Japanese, or there is straight up just katakana that undergoes romanization directly into English, and it makes sense, something like that. That'll definitely certainly be some things that could be talked about in the video essay when I compare and can contrast the games or go over small little details like that. It is very interesting. I agree with that, Mr. Shadyo. And Mr. Shadyo, while I do have you, did my explanation for, you know, the difference between the next game and, like, the voting item make any sense to you? Do I need to, like, refine that or restate it? I'm more than happy to do so. I just, there is a lot that factored into why I'm playing a palate cleanser game before we deal with the actual vote item. Good. I'm glad it makes sense. I'm glad it makes sense, at least. I think we have time for one more. Just one more of these. Thankfully, the ends are all pretty much verifiable. This one is right here. Oh, and yeah, there's a general store in the Zora. I'm pretty sure. That would be up here in Zora's domain. Yeah, right there. Perfect. In Goron, I know we've been here. Nope. Right there. Perfect. Mr. Jason says, but yes, Mr. Coin, you might have spent £212 and 89 pence in a single day. Oof. Yeah, it's like what, $300? Almost, not quite 300 or 250. Yeah, that's a big oof. If I'm spending that kind of money, I want to spend it on like cookware or something, or like a sofa, or like a recliner or something. Not like something big and chunky, something significant. In Hiteno. As things are coming to a close, I would like to thank everyone for hanging out with me. I know today and the next few streams are going to be quite boorish. But we got to get through this so that we could get through to the end of the game. And by doing these streams, it also gives me time to continue farming for collectibles and stuff. It gives me time to, do work. Because those tails, I got a lot of tails to farm, and those suckers have 25% drop rates. So I need some time to find those. Mr. Jason says, thank you for the stream, good sir, and see you on Monday. Very well, Mr. Jason. Thank you guys for hanging out with me today. Mr. Jason says, but yes, good sir, almost $300. So I'm starting to get a better grasp between what the pound is worth and what the dollar is worth. I'm starting to get a nice internalization for it. It's not there yet, but it is starting to crystallize, as it were. My lovely senators and inductees, this has been a perhaps garish and boring episode of The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, but we gotta have these garish, boring episodes in order to make way for the fun stuff. I want you guys to be able to see where these locations are so that you can, you can find them for yourself. And after today, I do intend on making that worksheet available. Let me go ahead and unpin these. Hold on. Oh. Manually unpinned or end of stream. Okay, so these will unpin when the stream ends. Good. I'll just do the same thing for YouTube. And then the worksheets will be available on command. If there's anything like a memory location or something else that we have already done, I will mark those off on our checklist. But I think outside of the memory locations, that should have taken care of anything that we have, just already done. And hopefully, we can be that much closer to, going after all these chests and things. As well as the compendium. Thank you guys so much for watching, and for hanging out with me today. You guys know the algorithmic stuff to do. And if you want to know where any of my hallowed halls are, do feel free to check out the link tree in the description on YouTube, or, underneath the video player on Twitch. Do feel free to do that. My Discord will be the middle icon toward the top. It'll have the Discord symbol on it. I would love to have you there on my Discord server. We share things together with each other and talk about Tears of the Kingdom currently, but it might be other games later, for sure. That said, you guys know where all my hallowed halls are now. So, do stay safe and take care of yourselves. This has been another episode of The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. I do hope that we do not have too many episodes of this to do, but if there is, so be it. To Mr. Jason and Mr. Shadow, thank you again for your company. It was good to see you too. Do stay safe and take care of yourselves. And I do hope to see you sooner rather than later, but if not, do be careful out there. And with that, Mr. Jason says, The Legend of Korok's Tears of the Coin Stamp. Indeed. I think those little guys will be the one to, have been the ones to make me shed tears. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time. You know where all my hallowed halls are. And with that, goodbye. And have a good weekend, everybody.